Wimbledon 0, Stockport in front inside the opening 80 seconds. Adama Sidibe firing in from close range after good work from Alafe and from Ben Osborne. And Stockport doubled their lead just before the break. Carl Watton on as a substitute in that first half for the goal scorer Sidibe. He was played in by Alafe and he fired in from close range. 2-0 at the break, probably just what Stockport deserved. But second half was all AFC Wimbledon. They could and should have scored. Remember, they arrived here with no Brown or Stevens, 21 league goals between them. And maybe that was the problem. The chances they did have were from long range and set pieces. A header from Johnson, wonderful save from Corriadai, full length, he somehow clawed it onto the crossbar and away to safety, and then he denied Jennings, had a wonderful 25-yard shot, again a full length dive, poked it just past the corner post. It really was all Wimbledon second half, but as they pushed for a goal late on, they were done on the counter. Ollie Norwood, the experienced Ollie Norwood, firing in from the edge of the box. Stockport solidify their place in the top six and look bound for the playoffs for Wimbledon. It looks like mid-table safety for them. Stockport 3, AFC Wimbledon 0.
OK, it's time for us to bring you a full-time classified results.
This is Game Day.
Full-time classifieds.
Take you into League One then, just to confirm. Stockport were 3-0 winners over AFC Wimbledon, and it finished also 3-0 for Reading against Wigan. Elsewhere, Blackpool 1, Burton 0. Exeter and Leyton Orient played out a goalless draw, and Wycombe were 4-0 winners over Port Vale. In League Two, in the early game, Notts County were 2-0 winners at Harrogate. Barrow, bottom side, beat the league leaders Bromley by 2-1. Salford were 1-0 winners over MK Dons, and Barnet beat Cambridge by the same scoreline. It finished 1-1 between Swindon and Fleetwood. Crewe beat Oldham by 2-1. Colchester drew 1-1 with Walsall. It finished 2-0 to Bristol Rovers against Accrington Stanley. Crawley, in the first game for Colin Kazim Richards, scored 2 late goals to beat Gillingham 2-0, and Newport were 1-0 winners over Shrewsbury. In the National League, we were hearing that Rochdale, the league leaders, held on to top spot in their 2-1 win at Sutton. In the FA Trophy semi-finals, Southend made it through to the final as they beat Southport 3-1, and Wealdstone got a late winner to beat Marine by 1-0. In the Premiership Rugby, Harlequins have now taken the lead in the game at the Bristol Bears. 15-7 they lead, and what a result. A first win of the season for the Huddersfield Giants in the Super League as they beat the league leaders who'd had a 100% winning start. 34-14 was the final score for the Giants as they won at Wigan. They have just got underway in the friendly between Scotland and Japan at Hampden. I will keep you updated on that one throughout the rest of that game here on talkSPORT. And in the WSL, there's a North London derby coming your way. It's Arsenal against Tottenham. That one kicks off at 5:30. Scott, that is it for us this afternoon. It's been fun.
Let's do it again Thursday.
Thursday night, we'll be back with kickoff. Indeed, where there's lots for no doubt for us to look forward to as we digest the international break and look forward to the FA Cup as well. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Saturday session. On the way next, it's Kickoff with Olly, Clink and Perry Groves.
With Mo Salah leaving, a lot of commentators have talked about the fact there's a lack of icons in the Premier League. Obviously, last year we had De Bruyne leave. You've had, over the course of the last few years, you've had Ronaldo back fleetingly. You've had Ibrahimovic here fleetingly. But the big boys don't come to the Premier League, do they? I mean, Haaland is probably the only global icon that is still there. Would that be fair? I mean, Son's not there anymore. De Bruyne's not there anymore. Salah's going. Kane, Ronaldo, Zlatan, all gone. Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, Messi, Neymar. They would rather play elsewhere. Why?
That's a very good question. I don't think there's as many superstars today as the kind of has been in the past. Obviously, Messi, Ronaldo were the two superstars, and no one could get anywhere near them. And
there are many sporting rivalries that can boast years of history, ferocious tensions and iconic tussles that ignite the fans to their very core. But when it comes to the battle of the mind games and the verbal exchanges in the heat of battles down the decades, the Ashes stands alone. So here are some of the most memorable Ashes housery moments. Few figures in Ashes history were despised by the opposition more than Douglas Jardine. He was the granite-jawed architect of the notorious 1932 Bodyline series, which sent shockwaves through the sport that still reverberate nearly a century later. One day, the hurricane met the tornado as Jardine met Yabba. As the name suggests, Yabba, real name Stephen Harold Gascoigne, was a heckler who became so famous that a statue was made of him. When Jardine was on the boundary swatting away some flies, Yabba yelled the immortal line, "Jardine,
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. How are you doing? I've got the ex-Arsenal winger and the king of 80s music, Perry Groves, alongside me, and we have got plenty on the way for you. Coming up, we're going to get stuck into England after some of Thomas Tuchel's auditions last night. Who might make the plane after what was a pretty flat draw with Uruguay? And which number 10s does he need to take? It's looking pretty sketchy, isn't it, for Phil Foden? We'll also chat about the run-in for Perry's Arsenal. Is he getting a bit nervy? We're going to hear a hot take from Adrian Durham on Max Dowman. Can't wait for that. And commentary legend Martin Tyler will join us later to chat about non-league day and more. Here we go. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Mr. Perry Groves, how are you doing?
Good evening. Oh, how are you?
Yeah,
good?
well, thank you. Yeah. You've just come in and broken the studio, which was quite entertaining.
Well, my fault, didn't touch it.
Yeah, I've outed you there, haven't I?
Exactly, yeah. I work with Ian Dante every Saturday when he puts, is it the comms Rex in and the ISDN, whatever. I always kick everything. Everything comes out. Like Fraser Forster, the old Spurs goalkeeper, he had like size 15 boots, like Herman Munster. That is me. Yeah. Up in the press box.
We're in for Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy today. I mean, I'm not sure what Jamie O'Hara is doing. I think he's probably just lying down in a dark room, given how it's going for his Spurs at the moment. Jason's had his hair done, so he's off for a bit.
One hair.
Just one hair?
Yeah, just the one. One at a time.
That's
so
all he needed.
So he's got the turkey head, and he just come back and act as if nothing's happened.
Yeah.
How's it going? Yeah.
What? Why are you wearing so many hats now, Jason?
Nothing done at all. Thing is, his Barney ain't that bad, is it? I mean, he's got deep line wingers, but that's about it. He hasn't got like the baboon's backside on the top of his head, does he?
No. Well, it's going to be. We're going to get 2001 Jason Cundy in about 3 or 4 months, which is very exciting, isn't it? Should we get into England then? Like I said, it was a bit of a flat draw. That's kind of expected, I think, from my end, given that this was kind of the fringe players and Thomas Tuchel was trying to have a look at who he might take on that plane. What did you make of the whole performance from England?
I just thought it was a trial game. It was the possibles and the probables. The probables were obviously up in the stand, and I just thought you can understand that the game, the first half especially, was a little bit sort of sticky, wasn't it? There was no flow to it, which you get. It actually enabled me to go and sort out my sock drawer out, so that was a result. Do you know what I mean? So there's a few like single socks that I've got in there I have to get rid of, but I was surprised with the players, because they knew it was a trial game. And I know that they've got to implement, obviously, Tuchel's philosophy, and they've got to stay in a team shape, and you have your set structure, whatever. But I was surprised that a lot of them weren't a little bit more selfish. And I know it's different. I played in loads of trial games when I was a kid because I wanted to be obviously professional football, and you go for trial games. And they set you up in your system, and, they're looking for if how you get the ball, whatever. But in those situations, you play for yourself. And that's what I was a bit disappointed. Marcus Rashford was okay down the left-hand side a couple of times. You could tell that he was playing free, and you can tell that he probably wasn't a player that was on trial because, he did have that bit of imagination where he wasn't bothered if he took people on, if he got tackled, it didn't bother him. But I looked at someone like Phil Foden, and I was lucky enough when Phil Foden had his best. I think he scored 27 goals in one of the seasons for Man City, the treble season. And I was lucky enough to watch him play live for about 5 times, and he blew me away for his awareness. I called him the owl, where he's getting it in little pockets and he could twist his head. He knew what was going on, flicking around the corner, playing off Erling Haaland, little 1-2s, and just playing like a free spirit. When I watched him last night, he looked to me like he was overthinking stuff. It had nothing to do with his application. His effort was.
Is that because of his manager, do you think?
I think sometimes. We mentioned off air, didn't we, about how Jack Grealish went. It took him a while to get used to Pep's, sort of tactics. Then he had a brilliant season, and then he looked like, again, he wasn't playing free and he was overthinking stuff. But then if you look at someone like Semenyo, who's gone into Man City, and obviously Pep overloads of information, he's just gone and played free exactly like he did at Bournemouth. Different positions, up front with Haaland and obviously wide on the right. But I just looked at Phil Foden, and he just reminded me who like a lead guitarist in a rock band, but he's playing the guitar and one of the strings is just off key. Do you know what I mean? It's just not quite there. And he looked like he was overthinking it. And I actually think his performance in the first half, I think he played his way out of the World Cup squad, because I think Tuchel obviously wants players to sort of take the game by the scruff of the neck, but if he's got doubts, he's obviously looking at players and he actually thinks sometimes, actually, you've just enhance what I thought. Do you know what I mean? And it's a shame because a proper flying Phil Foden is one of the best players in the Premier League, probably one of the best players in Europe. And if you're in Europe, you're one of the best players in the world, if you're at that level. But he's dropped a couple of levels and he just looked like he was scratching a little bit. And I think that's how the first half performance for England was.
I know what you mean with Foden. It kind of feels wrong to leave him behind, but you can't take a player if they're not in form and, like you say, overthinking it in a game like that. But I just think the number 10 debate is so interesting because we know that Thomas Tuchel has said, look, I'm not taking 4 or 5 players in the same position. It looks like he's pretty set on Morgan Rogers. Looks like he's pretty set, of course, on Jude Bellingham too. I thought Palmer was brighter than Foden when he came on. But Eberechi Eze is also injured. You'd imagine he'll take 3. Who would you go with? In a way, it's a straight shootout, really, isn't it, between Eze, who's injured at the moment, and maybe Cole Palmer. Who would you go with? I know you might have a bit of an Arsenal bias here. But...
Well, the only thing is, Eberechi Eze, historically, he comes to the fore from March and through to the end of May in his performances. So, unfortunately, he picked up his injury playing for Arsenal. But you have to look at where other positions the players can play in. And Eze can play on the left of a 3. He can play on the right of a 3. He can play as the 10. Cole Palmer can play on the right. He's had good performances on there, so that sort of ticks his box. And let's be honest, there's not a lot between the players that you've talked about. So I think Phil Foden plays his way out with Cole Palmer and Eberechi Eze. I don't think there's a lot. So they've got basically a shootout for that 10 position. You said about Jude Bellingham, and I've said before, I know he's a 10, but I would play him a bit deeper in a 4-2-3-1 system alongside Declan Rice. Probably as an 8, just where the game's more in front of him. Then you can get more forwards, another 10 on the pitch. But he's the number 1 10. And if he is fit and flying and playing to levels that Jude Bellingham can play at, England have every chance of winning the World Cup. If he's not, it's 2 players. If him and Harry Kane aren't, then I don't think we've got a chance of winning it. So even with the other attacking choices we have at our disposal, they're the 2 main players that have to be fit and flying to give us a realistic chance of winning, say, the World Cup. So Morgan Rogers, again, all the 10s have dropped off at about the same time.
You're right, even Morgan Rogers has dropped off.
Yeah, but to be fair, Villa dropped off as well. It's not just Morgan Rogers. Like, Villa fans will tell you that obviously they've missed John McGinn. He's back now fit, and they're a completely different team with John McGinn in it, and Tielemans is coming back in. So if you're Morgan Rogers, you'll be looking at those 2 thinking, actually, I need to elevate myself. And because you 2 are back in our side, we'll get more control of games. Therefore, I will get more of the ball. Ollie Watkins has dropped off. So when you're a 10, you need your centre forward who's flying and making the right runs, holding it up. And sometimes you can become a better player when you haven't played. And I think that happened for Ollie Watkins.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to get into the striker debate in just a moment. Scotland are in action tonight, though, at Hampden Park. They're playing Japan. Let's get an update with Paul Mitchell.
It's Scotland 0, Japan 0. Could have been different. And of course, that man McTominay had the first chance of the match. John McGinn with a little cross after great work on the right hand side into the middle of the area. 6 yards out. McTominay looked certain to score. Somehow, Zion Suzuki, the Parma goalkeeper, on his 22nd cap, got a touch and it magically made its way onto the post, and Japan cleared. The only test so far for Angus Gunn in goal for Scotland was a long range effort from Fudita. 14 minutes gone here at Hampden. Fairly quiet, fairly tame, but not too bad. It's Scotland 0, Japan 0.
Paul, thanks very much indeed. Plenty still to get into then with England. We need to chat about Ben White as well in that situation. That's coming next here on Kickoff on talkSPORT.
Join us now to look ahead to All British heavyweight boxer Dillian Whyte. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Dillian.
Good morning, good morning. How's everything been? Good?
Yeah, good, mum.
Yeah, really, really good. You gutted for the Welsh last night for no reason whatsoever? Or is it just Gabby who's hammering them?
I have no comment.
Dillian, what are you thinking about this fight then? You fought both fighters, Itoma and Franklin. What are you expecting from Franklin in this fight?
I think it's a good fight. It depends on what Franklin turns up, because, you know, he can turn up and put on a good show and be a really good fighter. Sometimes he can turn up and be a little bit of a stinker, you know. Obviously, he's coming off a loss in his last fight. But I think that's made him hungrier for this fight. And now, obviously, we look at Mosley thinking, if I beat Mosley, I get one up on Dillian because Dillian beat me and Mosley beat Dillian. So I think he's got double motivation. So, yeah.
How good is he, Itoma? You know, only 21 years of age, and we've seen his rise so far. How good is he, and how good can he be?
He's very good. Obviously, they're managing properly and manoeuvring properly, and obviously.
A bit of you, Perry, a bit of tropical house. I know you're an 80s music man.
You speak English, I would have no idea what you said then. What, a bit of garage, a bit of tropical house?
Yeah. Like a bit of this thing.
It's very calming. Yeah, you said I'm an 80s. 80s child.
We'll get a bit of that going later.
Yeah, a little bit of Spandau later on.
Oh, yeah, big time. Big time. This is Kickoff here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside the former Arsenal winger, Perry Groves. We're getting stuck into England after their draw with Uruguay last night. I want to focus on the number 9s. It was the two Dominics, wasn't it? Solanke got the start in the game. Calvert-Lewin comes on, actually missed quite a good chance too. Did you feel, though, Perry, I don't know about you, but I felt like there was another number 9, not even in this squad, who should feel pretty unlucky missing out, and that's Brighton's Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, I said before that if I was Thomas Tuchel, I'd be taking him as one of the alternatives to Harry Kane. I think he's the closest in style-wise to Harry Kane that we have. He's got 12 Premier League goals, since he's had in the Premier League as goal scorer. And if you look as well, it's no coincidence that Brighton have just hit a little bit of form where he's played more regularly up front, and they brought in Pascal Gross, obviously playing midfield with James Milner and Dunk at the back. So they've got the older players to look after younger ones. And he drops in, he can link up the game really well. His finishing has got better as he's got older. So I think, he would be my choice as Harry Kane's stuntman. And then you're looking, right, but then you need something different. You need another type of centre forward who threatens in behind. And I looked at, you said like the two Dominics. To be fair, Dominic Solanke, again, his effort was there, his application was there. And if you want someone to press, he's very good at pressing it and closing down. But I think his problem is then he plays at the same pace when your team's in possession. And he just looks, everything was very sort of hurried and very rushed when he was in possession. So I think, again, he probably played his way out. Calvert-Lewin coming in, if he scores, which he should score, it's an absolute sitter. Great ball in from, obviously, like Cole Palmer. And that just showed, again, I think, someone that was a bit tense because he's had too much movement. It's too much head movement there. When the technique is, as the cross is coming in, you just make sure that you hit it with your forehead and you just hit it like at a right angle, basically. You know what I mean? There's too much movement. So the other one who stands out, and again, sometimes you become a better player when you don't play, was obviously Ollie Watkins. And I think that he is the centre forward that gives you something different, that will run in behind, that will stretch defences. Because even last night, everything was so lateral. It reminded me, like you see some academy games and it's keep possession. You go from the right back into the centre halves, back out to the left back across again. There was no threat in behind, just to sort of mix it up a little bit. And to be fair, Uruguay had a bit of housery about them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You knew what you were getting, and it was a friendly, but it was competitive. Do you know what I mean? It was proper competitive. There was like physical challenges.
Was it a bit too competitive to you?
No, I don't think you can.
Crunching tackles, though.
Yeah, but what you want is the referee to obviously get a grip of the game. And Sven Jablonski, who was the referee, I think Howard Webb and PJ Mayo were probably looking at thinking, "Oh, you don't think our referee's very good? Have a look at what's going around." Because I don't like dishing out officials, but
really,
he was really, really poor. You would say that he probably got all of the big decisions wrong. And the tackle was on Phil Foden from Morocco, where he comes in and he cleans him out and he nearly breaks his left leg. And if he doesn't jump, then he breaks his leg. That's 100% like sending off. You should be seeing that in real time, let alone having the VAR. I think you got our goal wrong, to be fair, because I think Wharton actually blocks the Uruguayan midfielder who tries to get past him. He actually steps across him before Ben White taps it in at the far post. And their penalty, you can see it either way, but it's not a clear. I don't think it's an horrendous. You know what I mean? We want VAR for horrendous decisions, and it wasn't an horrendous decision. But then as soon as you look at it and you think, yeah, the VAR is going to get involved here and they're going to turn it into a penalty. So all the big ones, I think they got completely wrong. But yeah, you'd rather have, if you're Thomas Tuchel, you don't want your players to get injured. And obviously, as an Arsenal fan, Madueke didn't look great. But you want to learn something from the game. And you're going to get that in the World. You're going to get that in the World Cup. You're going to get teams that aren't as good as you man for man, but they're going to come and they're going to stop you from playing. Now, whether it's they go man for man, whether they're going to get physical with you. And you can understand a lot of the players, because we've still got like the business end of the season to come, don't want to get injured. So you can understand Phil Foden did brilliantly to ride the challenge, by the way, because he knew what was coming in. So I actually thought it was a real test from Uruguay.
One man who agreed with you on the referee, by the way, was the England manager, Thomas Tuchel. Here's what he had to say after the game about the referee's performance.
I don't speak to him after the match, but I don't want to. I think it was not a good performance at all throughout the match. And like I said, I cannot understand the tackle like this is not even checked. And then I think the penalty in the end was very, very soft. And then there were like debates that a player got 2 yellow cards in the match and not being sent off. Okay, bad day at the office.
Just a technicality. He didn't get any yellow cards. He got 2. Apparently, Agate didn't get any.
Yeah, crazy.
Because you can actually tell, if you're obviously UEFA in charge of the referees and you're looking at that, and you'll be sitting him down because he was one of those referees that actually wanted to show you that he's give someone a yellow card. It was very demonstrative, where you put your straight arm out, and both of them were straight at Ugarte. So it was basically incompetence.
One thing I've got to ask you about, Perry, Ben White, who is obviously making his return, having left the squad in Qatar in 2022, fell out with, it seems, Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate. We don't know the full story, of course, but Thomas Tuchel's welcomed him back into the fold. He then brings him on in the game. not every England fan, of course, but there were some boos. There were even some boos after he scored England's opening goal as well. Where are you at with this? What do you make of the situation with it all?
Well, everybody in life, doesn't matter if it's football or in your life in general, if you make mistakes, everybody deserves a second chance and everybody deserves a chance of redemption. Now,
to be fair, a lot of England fans wouldn't see it that way, though. They would look at it as you were asked to play for your country and you turn down that honour, and in that circumstance, you don't get a second.
He didn't turn his back on his country. He wasn't happy with what's happened with Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate, and he's actually kept his counsel. He hasn't come out because, in the modern day age, normally an agent will put a story out, to make sure that you get the first sort of positive sort of spin on it. And there's different conjecture what happened with Ben White, in the training camp. Ben White as a character, Mikel Arteta doesn't have any big time Charlies or bad eggs. It's taken him 6 years to get where he is with Arsenal, to get rid of all the big time Charlies. So on his character side, Ben White isn't disruptive. Now, he actually said he couldn't be in the England camp with certain people there, so then he left. Then a new manager comes over. He didn't play under Lee Carsley. You probably thought, well, you're an interim manager. And then obviously Thomas Tuchel comes in. Thomas Tuchel is just say, right, you've got, from me as a manager, you have a clean slate. Me and you haven't fallen out. So Thomas Tuchel would have done all of his due diligence, asked different people, asked different players what they thought was Ben White as a character. And the reason he brought him into the squad this time is to look at him himself and see how he is. And I actually think Ben White showed quite big cojones, because he would
could have turned it down. Could have said, do you know what, I'm done.
Known. Yes, he would have known the reaction. He's not silly, right? He'd have known the reaction that he was going to get, and he knew he was going to be the pantomime villain. And in a crowd at Wembley, say you got 85,000 there, you only need 5,000 to boo. Trust me, I've been booed by 50,000 at Highbury. I know what's going on. But you only need 5,000 to boo, and it sounds like everybody's booing, because it goes quiet. So I'm actually...
Has Tuchel created a headache for himself?
No, he doesn't care.
Even though he's bringing him on during the game, that creates an opportunity for some people to boo him as well. Do you feel like... Look, there's obviously a raging debate about the fact that Trent isn't even in this squad. It seems like he's not part of Tuchel's plans at all. He said he hadn't even spoken to him. Do you not just think that Tuchel will obviously know that this causes a bit of a storm? A bit of me's thinking you've got other fullbacks there. It actually begs the question, doesn't it, Perry? Ben White might actually get on this plane, because why have him in that?
Where
squad?
did he bring him on?
Why cause that headache for yourself?
What position did he play last night when he brought him on? Centre half. Didn't bring him on right back. He brought him at
so do you think he makes the plane?
I think he's got a big chance of making the plane, because he can play at centre half and he can play at right back. And to say you put him on at centre half last night and he looked fairly comfortable next to Harry Maguire, everything was okay. Thomas Tuchel doesn't give a rat's backside about the media and what we think, and I think that makes him a stronger manager, because he's not trying to placate people. The easiest way would have been not to put him in. So he's actually brought him in, and what we want as England fans, you want strong characters. You want people with that resilience. Ben White could have easily gone, I know the stick, I know the grief that I'm going to get. I'm not going to put myself in that position, because the perception is, because of his lifestyle away from the pitch, the perception is that he's not really into football, which is very good at it, but he's not into it. But what he is some players love their football, and then when they stop training, they love going home and watching football and being immersed in football 24/7. Other players do their job, do their training, play for their club or their country, and then they go home and go, I'm all right with that. I need just to be away from football. I don't need an overload. I don't care as a fan, and obviously I'm talking Arsenal fan. England fans might be different. I don't care if you don't watch another football game again, but when you play for your club or country, you give it everything you have and you perform different level. I'm not bothered. So you have to manage different characters and different personalities, and they see the game differently. We saw Ben White coming on yesterday and played well and scored, right? In the Carabao Cup final against Man City, he was one of the few players on Arsenal's side who actually come out with a bit of credit, because he actually played against Doku really well. And in the second half, you're not telling me he doesn't love his football, because when Cherky was giving it Billy big time and keeping the ball up, what did Ben White do?
Hammered him.
He went. I was raging. I wanted a 2-foot tackle like the TV screen. So then if he weren't bothered about football, he wouldn't be going, right, I'm coming through you. So it'll be interesting to see the next game. Obviously, Ben White's involved. What the reaction will be, because as you said there,
just quickly, you said that Thomas Tuchel doesn't care about that. Should he care about that kind of reaction? Because actually, I heard Adrian Dowman talking about this, and the fact that in recent games, Thomas Tuchel called out the England fans for not quite being loud enough, and they responded, and it was quite jovial and in the end, but it was quite a bold statement for an England manager to come out with. He then has this Ben White situation, and a section of the fans don't like that, and they don't like the fact that Ben White's in the squad. Should he care about that?
No, because he should make purely football decisions, which he thinks is going to be the benefit of England's squad and England's squad in the World Cup. Because if he made decisions worrying about what the media were going to say, what the crowd were going to do, how the crowd would react, he's not making the right football decisions.
Having the fans on side is important, though.
Yeah, but the fans will be on side. Oh, in the World Cup, do you think that when England go out, to the States and they play, do you think there's going to be any boos for any player? Absolutely no chance. He was the pantomime. No, he was the pantomime villain. You get it. And everybody cheered when he scored. And
not
then
everyone.
Everybody, only when his name was announced, then they thought, ooh, because they thought. But if he plays and he scores a winning goal in the semi-final, everything will be completely forgotten. So, with him, I actually thought that he showed strong character, personality to actually put himself there. And I love the fact that Thomas Tuchel's got to make decisions where he's going to upset people. Whether he leaves him out the squad, where he doesn't pick him in the team. He's not bothered. You have to handle the media. Gareth Southgate was brilliant at handling the media. And he got everybody on side because there was too much of a distance between the media and England players, you know what I mean, and fans. So Gareth Southgate did brilliant. Thomas Tuchel is very respectful, and but the media like him because he's very, very straightforward. He's very, very blunt. And you mentioned about Ben White coming in. When he was asked about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and said, Trent Alexander-Arnold was not in it. I'm not calling him Trent, by the way, because I didn't live next door to him and I didn't go to school with him. So that does my head in when people call him Trent. You don't even know him, right? So with Alexander-Arnold, he was asked the question, have you spoken to him? And he went, no.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Brutal.
Yeah, 03717223344. Get your calls in. Do you know what? I'd love to hear from you if you were at the game last night and you were one of those fans that were booing Ben White. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and whether you understand what Perry's trying to say here, that Thomas Tuchel has to be brutal in these situations for the good of the squad. This is Kickoff here on talkSPORT.
Former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has broken his silence on Mo Salah's impending departure from the Reds. Here he is talking to the Anfield Wrap about the legacy that Salah will leave behind.
Unbelievable goal. So he was part of the best front three in world football for a long time and was the one who always had the highest numbers. So that says something. That really says something. It's not easy to be slightly above the other two guys, and they have all their specific skills. But Mo was the one for the last situation. He wanted to have that more than anybody. So Sadio was a mix of both. Like, yes, he wanted to score goals, but he could have played midfield even. So that's his skill set. Bobby was the genius who didn't care about anything and could play absolutely everything. And Mo was the one who was really always the goal in his mind. And you cannot train that, and I don't think you really can learn it. It's inside, and he has that, and he will have that until the last day of his life. I'm pretty sure that's why it was the challenge, because if you want to rotate or whatever, and you take him off after 87 minutes, you could see in his face he saw I could have scored 3 in the last 5.
Yeah.
Donald Partridge. That's superb.
There's a bit of 80s music. Do you know who loves Aha? Do you know who loves Aha?
Ahara or Ha-Ha? Aha.
Eddie Howe loves
a bit of Aha.
Loves
a bit of Morgan Harkett, does he?
Yeah. It's like the only band he likes.
Superb.
Yeah, incredible.
He should have his playlist then, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm not feeling
playlist.
like paying tribute to Howe at the moment.
No?
Honestly, yeah. As a Newcastle fan, we'll chat about that a bit later. This is Kickoff here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Perry Groves. We'll carry on our England chat in just a moment, but there's been a goal in the women's North London derby. Angelina Kelly.
There's actually been 2 goals. It is Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0. Both goals from absolute superstar Alessia Russo. It's been coming. She's been so lively in these opening minutes, having numerous chances blocked by the Spurs defence. The first goal, it was a Katie McCabe corner from the right-hand side that came into the box towards the edge of the 6-yard box. And Russo was there to just head it into the corner of the net. And then moments later, she gets the second goal. She's played through, straight into the box, played through by Olivia Smith. There was a check for offside, but I don't think there's anything in it. She drove straight into the box and put it straight into the corner of the net. It is Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0.
Perry's going crazy in the studio. What a start for the Gunners.
The thing is, you know, when there's a bad time to play teams, right? Arsenal women are absolutely flying at the minute. They've won the last 10 on the spin. Obviously, it's their third game on the trot at the Emirates. Obviously, beating West Ham, beating Chelsea. You know, you just think, oh, it's a bad time to play them because, say, Arsenal women are absolutely flying at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. We were chatting about Ben White before the break and the fact that he was booed last night when he came on by a section of fans. And even his goal was booed by some fans when his name was read out by the PA announcer. Tony's a Man United fan. He's called us up. What do you want to say, Tony?
Yeah, 2 quick points. I used to do all the advertising for a major football boot brand, and one of the players wearing our boots was Steve Bruce. And we were organising a photo shoot for, I think it was Match magazine, right? And I rang his house up to check availability, and his wife answered the phone and said, "I'm sorry, Tony, Steve's at work." And I was a bit dumbfounded, but he was at work, he was training, it is a job, do you know what I mean? So I can understand where Ben White is in terms of it is his job, and he goes home, he may want to switch off. The second point, I said I would never go to an England game again at Wembley.
Tony, just quickly, just on the point of it being a job, right? Playing for Arsenal, I agree with you. That is his job. That is what he's paid to do. If you're called up for your country, is it different? That's an honour, isn't it?
It's still a job. He gets paid to do it, doesn't he, to play for England? He doesn't do it for free.
Do you only think, Tony, as well, which I know where you're going, was it also, if it's your job, it's your work environment as well. And Ben White wasn't happy with his work environment if he's got a problem with what's going on. So, yeah, Tony, it's a job, but the only thing I would caveat is it's a job, but you're getting paid for your hobby. Do you know what I mean? You're getting paid to do something that you love doing.
If I could play for Man United, I'd do it for nothing. But at the end of the day, they're professionals, and it is his job. When I go home from my job, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Just want to switch off.
What'd you do, Tony?
You want to switch off. I've got an advertising agency.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I thought you didn't want to talk about it. But...
No. I've got an advertising. Yeah, that's fair.
Thing is, Tony, not being funny, the advertising ain't great. You didn't mention the name of the boot.
No, I thought, no. Well, it was Well, there were two brands, Mitre and Diodora.
Oh,
wow.
He's a pro, Tony.
Exactly,
He's got them in there.
Other football boots aren't available.
Tony, do you think Ben White should be on the plane then? Do you think he should be part of this squad?
I, as a Man United fan, I do quite like Ben White. I really do. But the second point I was going to make, guys, was I've been to quite a few England games down at Wembley, and some of the fans, the way they abuse some of the players from up north is unbelievable. And I said, I ain't going again to Wembley to watch England, because some of the fans, not all of them, but there's a minority, the abuse they give some of the northern players is incredible, and it's horrible. And then to cap it all, when it was the England-Italy final, I said, no, I'm not going to Wembley again. That is it. Job done. And it is always a mindless minority to boo. As you said, he's playing for England. It's an honour to go and watch your country play in a game, and you've got the ability to go and the cost to go. That's an honour. Why abuse your own players? That is ridiculous.
The thing is, Tony, as well, if you're a proper fan, I know fans get hurt and it gets in your blood and it gets in something, whatever. No player's ever played better from being booed, ever. No. I always say to fans, if you want to boo, make your feelings known after the game, ain't a problem. But during the game, players get tense. And if players tell you it doesn't bother them, 100%. If the opposition are booing, yeah, that's great. You're the pantomime villain. That actually inspires you. But if your own fans boo you, it's going to affect your performance.
Tony, thanks for your call. 03717 223344. Let's speak to Lawrence, who's a Tottenham fan. How you doing, Lawrence?
Hello, chaps. How you
Hello,
doing?
Lawrence. Yeah, good, thank you, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah, Tottenham fan, Perry. Sorry about that.
Are you all right, Lawrence? Just want to give you a cuddle.
Let one on.
Yeah, I was there last night. Took my boys for the first time to an England game. And I don't think the booing was full of vitriol and anger and stuff like that. It was more of a boo I didn't boo personally, but I think it was more of a boo just to let him know, you let us down. You shouldn't have done what you did. And just to let him know, I think it was probably, I don't know, probably a one-off. Where
do you think there was no vitriol? There was no vitriol in it. Is that what you're saying? It was more, as I say, like a pantomime boo.
Yeah, it was like that. And I was sitting there. We didn't boo, me and my boys, but we all sort of had a smirk on our face. And I think most of the people booing would have had half a smile on their face as they were doing it. It was just, let him know. He needs to know.
Yeah.
And the fans have a right, really, to do that, I think.
Yes, but he'd have known that. That's what I'm saying. He would have. Ben White's not silly. He would have known that. He would have known what was coming.
Do you put it this way, Lawrence? Do you think it would happen in the next game? Do you think it would happen again, or do you think it will tail off?
I think it will tail off. I mean, you just got to look at the players who've been booed in the past, and it's up to their character, isn't it? How they deal with it. Look at Beckham. He was booed massively after he got sent off in the World Cup, and he came back and showed everyone what he's all about. I remember John Barnes getting booed, and I think I was at Wembley when he was booed before the game when his name was announced, and then he stepped up and scored a free kick from about 40 yards, and everyone cheered him. So, do you know what I mean? So if you're going to boo anything, you should boo the cheese and bacon burgers. Wembley,
tell us about it, Lawrence. What happened?
Bacon, not crispy, Lawrence. That's outrageous. You need crispy bacon.
Perry. I swear.
It was Perry.
My kids are quite fussy, so they always open the bun up, and there was not even a slice. It was a slice of a slice of a slice of bacon to call it a cheese and bacon burger for 10 quid.
Did you boo the burger?
Mate, there was no bacon in it. It was like the smallest bit of bacon you've ever seen.
Do you know what I blame? That's Ben White's fault.
It's Ben White's fault, that.
That's why we were booing Ben White. Yeah,
booing the bacon.
Booing the bacon and the bacon. Oh, Lawrence, great call, mate. Thank you very much indeed. 03717 223344 if you booed the burgers as well. at Wembley, please get in touch. That's a disgrace, isn't it?
Yeah, Lawrence was more outraged with that than Ben White, wasn't he? Like, not turn up for his country. You see the bacon in my burger? You're having a laugh. The burger weren't even cooked.
He's mentioned Ben White to get on the programme.
Yeah.
And then he's unleashed on the kitchen at Wembley. What an absolute shambles.
I wonder if a TalkSport phone-in has ever had someone phoning up and been outraged by the bacon in the burger.
We have now. It's a world first, Ferry. I'm telling you that. By the way, I mentioned David Beckham joined Drive yesterday. We're going to hear a bit of that later on. How cool's that? Is it called up?
See?
Called 03.
We get all the big dogs.
Yeah, we do indeed.
Well, that, you think, when he called up, they should have gone, sorry, Dave, we ain't got enough time. We've got all the programme running order done. We can't fit you in, mate.
Yeah, Dave, the Man United fan. Sorry, mate. Yeah, can't fit you on there. Listen, we've got plenty to get into in terms of England too. We've hardly scratched the surface, really. But if you want to have your say on that Ben White situation, if you were there last night as well, it was interesting, wasn't it, to hear from Lawrence there about the fact that he didn't feel like it was vitriolic booing, almost not a joke. There will be fans that feel passionate about this, but that it wasn't as intense as it maybe came across. 03717 223344. By the way, for a full England debrief, make sure you tune in to the latest episode of the TalkSport Daily Podcast now with the former England captain Stuart Pearce. He's joining Adrian Durham and Jim Proudfoot. They talk about that situation. They talk about the Phil Foden dilemma, and they talk about James Garner, who was called the mini Valverde by Thomas Tuchel after the game. Let's get a quick update from the game between Scotland and Japan. Here's Paul Mitchell.
Scotland 0, Japan 0, and if Scotland against Denmark in November was a rock concert, this is a polite afternoon recital. Japan have basically knocked the ball about beautifully. They've created chances without really testing Angus Gunn. Scotland have hit the post. That came after 8 minutes. McTominay looked set to score. Great save by Zion Suzuki, and that came after 8 minutes. It took Scotland to 43 minutes to get another header towards goal, but it took a little nick off a defender. Very tame and back towards the goalkeeper. In additional time, 1 minute to be played at Hampden. Very quiet. Scotland 0, Japan 0.
Keep your calls coming in, 03717 223344. In just a moment here on Kickoff, we're going to chat about the return of Roy Hodgson. Can't wait for that. Stay with us.
We're talking all things Harry Maguire. John is a Man United fan. Jonathan?
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm great. Very well, man. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you.
What's that noise? Have you just opened your wallet?
No, you have to excuse me. It's the police going past in Hereford, which means there's probably a cat stuck in a tree somewhere.
Okay. Well, just be careful.
Oh, yeah, I'm being safe, mate. I'm free and all that.
Good, good. Go on, off you go.
Yeah, talking about Harry Maguire. So, I'm a United fan. Has he let the club down on numerous occasions? Yes, he's a bit of a Marmite player. But with regards to England, I can't think of a time he's ever actually let England down.
Yeah, good
point.
point.
Every time he's put an England shirt on, he's always done a job.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing.
Would you start him for England?
I'd start him for England, yeah.
You would?
For his experience, for his age, yeah. I think he's a solid centre-back. He, like I said, never let him down.
Are you pleased that he's signing?
The TalkSport 20k giveaway.
It's competition time now, and it's a belter. Just imagine what you would do with £20,000. That's right, 20 big ones, because talkSPORT are giving one lucky listener the chance to bag 20 grand completely tax-free. How about that? Don't miss your chance to win this huge amount of money. Here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed 9th of April 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win 20 grand, text WIN to 83338 now. Still can't get over Lawrence, how fuming he was about that burger.
Outraged. Absolutely outraged.
How many times did he say not enough bacon? Are you...
He did say he blamed his kids as well, didn't he? He said that's the first thing they do. They don't look at the team sheet. They don't look like who might be playing. It's like, I've got to see what's...
Come on, let's get a hot dog.
Exactly.
Let's get a burger in. It's so true. Perry, just quickly, on the Ben White thing, is the reason you're defending him? Because I'll be honest, right? Most of the people I've seen furiously defend Ben White in this situation, and it makes sense, are Arsenal fans. Is that the same with it? Do you feel that if Ben White didn't play for your club, you might feel a bit differently about this situation?
No, I'd like to think I'd still be fairly objective about it.
Would you?
Yeah, I would, because I'd see both sides. You know, when you try and see both sides of an argument, which then you can obviously make your opinion. I've heard the conjecture that's going around why Ben hurt. Everyone was hurt. Exactly, yeah. Not Ben Hur. Chariots of Fire going down the wrong road, haven't we? Why Ben White left. But actually, no one's actually come out and substantiated it. So I'm just going on what I've heard, you know, from different sources. And I would be the same if it was a player from another club, exactly the same. Because obviously, being a player myself, then I can put myself in his boots. Do you know what I mean? And how he might be feeling. I'm much more worried about Arsenal than what I am about England. Arsenal means miles more to me than what England does.
Really?
I want England to do well. I'm very patriotic. I think we've got a genuine chance of winning it with the forwards and the quality that we've got going forward. And I want us to win the World Cup. But if we don't win the World Cup, I'll be disappointed the next day or the day after, and I'll think, oh, that was a bit sad, and you feel the country goes a bit flat, doesn't it?
Part that thought just quickly, because we need to stay in touch with your club in the WSL. There's been another goal at the Emirates in the women's North London derby. Angelina Kelly.
It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1, a goal for Tinker Tamberg. It looked like it might have been an own goal, but it's going down as Tamberg's goal. The corner came in towards the 6-yard box from the left-hand side, and Tamberg was there at the far post to head it into the back of the net. It's an excellent response from Spurs. They were like rabbits in the headlights when Alessia Russo scored 2 goals in 2 minutes. They're not seeing much of the ball, but when they do get it, they're trying to do something with it. Defensively, though, still looking a little bit vulnerable, with Russo coming close to a hat-trick on multiple occasions. But it is Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1.
Back in it, Tottenham.
Offside.
Just go back to this debate then. So you were saying that you want England to win the World Cup.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
But if they won it, you wouldn't be kind of over the moon.
Oh no, I would. God, it'd be euphoric, and the whole country would come together. Don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is, if they don't win it or they got knocked out, then you feel disappointed, and the general atmosphere around the country goes flat for a day or two. That won't hurt me nowhere near as much. If Arsenal don't win the Premier League this season, that will stay with me for the rest of my life, because the club means miles more to me. I have the club every weekend. I have miles more emotions involved in my club, and we haven't won the title for 22 years.
Yeah, but England haven't won World Cup since 1966.
Yeah, but I'd rather Arsenal won the Premier League than win the World Cup.
It's a generational moment if England win the World Cup, isn't it? It's generational. That.
If your club is more important, which it is. Arsenal's miles more important to me than what my country is. Then fine. I won't feel. I'll give you then a scenario.
All right.
Obviously, you played in the League Cup final last season, right?
Yeah. Not me personally. Newcastle,
no, you're Newcastle United. Exactly. Yeah. To be fair, you was in the final squad, matchday squad, when you just left out.
12th man.
You want to get yourself a long throw. You get in the side. So, would you take Newcastle losing that and England winning the World Cup, or England not winning the World Cup, or Newcastle winning it, which you did? And your hesitation tells me all I need to know, because if it was England, you wouldn't hesitate, because the joy that you got out of your club winning their first domestic trophy for 70 years, right? That will stay with you for the rest of your life. If you'd got beaten again like you did in the previous League Cup final and you get beaten again, that gets you in the pit of your stomach. It gets in your blood and you never forget it.
See, because of that, I understand why you're saying it with the Premier League, with Arsenal. What about... Right,
FA Cup.
What, just the FA Cup this
FA
season?
Cup.
Just the FA Cup?
No, not just winning. I want to win the Premier League, but if I had a choice between Arsenal winning the FA Cup...
All right, no, hold on. What about if it was just the FA Cup for Arsenal? So you don't win the Premier League. Would you rather see that or England win the World Cup?
Arsenal win the FA Cup.
Really?
All day long. They're my memories for where you're watching it with your family or where you're at Wembley with all the different fans. It stays...
But the thing is, with me, with Newcastle, I feel like it's different because, a bit like England, they hadn't won anything for such a long time, 70 years. It had been since they won a major domestic trophy. Arsenal have won the FA Cup the most times, and they've, not that recently, but they've won a load recently.
Yeah, but that comes to a sense...
Does that not change it?
No, because that comes to a sense of entitlement. It's like, it's only the FA Cup. That we're too big, it's not important to us. Every trophy is important. I'm still hurting from last Sunday.
What about the League Cup then?
Yep, League Cup. I'm still hurting from last Sunday.
Would you have taken just the League Cup over England winning the World Cup?
Yeah, 100%. It means more to me. And it'll be interesting to see how our listeners feel, because I would put it to Spurs fans, England win the World Cup, but you get relegated.
Oh, that's a good one.
You don't get relegated, and England don't win the World Cup.
Hey, Lawrence is already wound up enough about the burger. He doesn't need this dilemma.
Not exactly, yeah. Yeah, but Lawrence's dilemma is, did you have a burger or did you have a hot dog? So that's really difficult. Or did you have a cheeseburger or did you have that little bit of extra bacon, which is rubbish in it? But the club, I don't want it to sound like I'm not packed. I am. I want us to win the World Cup. Don't get me wrong. And I'll get behind England. I'll get excited for the games and going through.
Mate, there'd be people up lampposts. The whole country would come to a standstill. Probably get a bank holiday. You'd have Sir James Garner.
Right.
You'd have, I think that moment generationally would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? It would I get the Premier League one. I actually do. And I also think if you ask me about any Newcastle situation, I think it's a different situation to being an Arsenal.
No, it isn't, because if your club means that much to you, it isn't different, because I don't feel a sense of entitlement or superiority just because Arsenal won the FA Cup 14 times more than anybody else. We only won the League Cup twice. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, we haven't won the Premier League for 22 years. I don't think, it's Arsenal, it's not that important, because Arsenal is with me day to day to day to day. And if we don't win the Premier League this season, which, fingers crossed, obviously we're favourites to do that, that would ruin my whole summer going into the beginning of next season. The pain that you feel in your bones and in your stomach, that probably would never go away totally. But again, it eases over. If England don't win the World Cup, and even if we get to the final and we don't win the final, then I'd be like, a little bit down for maybe a day or two. But then that's not going to impact my life as much as what Arsenal impacts my life.
Are you still down about the League Cup final?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the way that we played in the second half, we had our bellies tickled like a little Maltese terrier. We went too passive. But then you hope that really hurts them again in their pain. They live with that, and that then inspires these Arsenal players to kick on to a different level. But all Arsenal fans will tell you that hurt. Any shadow of doubt. So it'd be interesting. I might be a minority. I might be the only one who supports their club, who wants their club to win. And I'll tell you what as well, I'll put another caveat on it. These friendlies we've got, and even in the qualifying games, obviously, for the World Cup, every Arsenal fan will look at those games thinking, I don't care how England get on. I don't care what the score is. As long as Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice don't get injured, and obviously Madueke has picked up an injury, we hope it's not serious. I just want our players not to get injured. And I would take... On a personal level, it wouldn't be great because I want Rice and Bukayo Saka to go to the World Cup, obviously, because they deserve to be playing on that platform. But if it meant that they played the rest of the season and Arsenal won the Premier League, but they didn't go to World Cup, I would ask phone and go, all right, unlucky.
03717 22 33 the League Cup for Arsenal or the World Cup for England. Get in touch. Do you know what, Perry? You think you're in the minority here? I'm not sure. Do you know what the shout?
You think there's another ginger out there who's going to come on my side?
I think the shout about Spurs is the most interesting one. Relegated.
Spurs fans,
the World Cup.
let us know.
Give us a call, 03717 22 33 44. There's been another goal at the Emirates in the Women's North London derby. Angelina Kelly
It is Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. Alessia Russo gets her hat-trick. It is a howler from Spurs goalkeeper Lisa Kopp. Captain Molly Bartrip plays the ball back to Kopp, who scuffs the ball as she goes to play it to defender Coco Toga. But she sends the ball straight to Alessia Russo's feet, and she just fires it straight into the back of the net. Terrible defending when Spurs had just given themselves a lifeline by scoring 7 minutes prior. It is Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1.
Yeah, what were you worried about, Perry? What were you worried about? 2-goal cushion is back in that game. Over on talkSPORT 2, the teams are out, by the way, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the Gallagher Premiership. It's Saracens against Northampton Saints. You can swipe over to talkSPORT 2 to listen to that. And also, it's half-time at Hampden Park, 0-0 between Scotland and Japan. Keep your calls coming in. And don't forget, Martin Tyler is going to join us on the show at 6:30. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT.
Every Thursday we'll be joining the studio by rapper and Spurs fan AJ Tracy. How are you?
How you doing, fella? Not too bad.
Good. Now, we spoke to you on the phone before. I've never met you, right?
You spoke to me on the phone before, yeah.
Okay, do I call you AJ, Trace?
You call me whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, but what do your pals call you?
AJ. Age,
yeah. Okay,
Age.
nice to meet you, Age.
If we've had a beer, it's Age.
Age, okay.
Yeah,
we should do that, Mark, on Thursday.
Yeah?
Thursday's a great night to go out.
I heard the fridge is stocked over here. I might be here for...
Forget the food. We go across the road for a few. Can I ask what AJ stands for?
AJ, it's a multitude of things, but it's just a stage name that I thought makes sense. It sounds like a normal name, though. It sounds like a government name, which is why I picked that rather than one of these crazy aggressive rapper names. I thought something that will sell, something that a mother's not going to look at. If their kid wants the AJ Tracy record, they're going to be like, that name's crazy. I'm not going to buy the record. Just a nice, normal...
It's a friendly name.
It's a friendly name. Yeah. It's marketable.
Obviously it is because it works.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah. You said it, not me. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming in.
No, thanks for having me.
What are you up to at the moment? We're going to talk loads. I know you're big Spurs.
By the way, if I wasn't here with you, I'd be watching this. By the way,
how nice.
Good afternoon, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Olly, Clink, still plenty to come on the show. I'm alongside the king of 80s music, the former Arsenal winger, Perry Groves. We're going to be hearing a hot take from Adrian Durham, by the way, a bit later, on the future of Arsenal's team sensation, Max Dowman, and I'm very much looking forward to Perry Groves. He hasn't heard it yet, and I've heard it, and I'm looking forward to hearing him.
Not as much as I am.
His reaction. We're also going to get stuck into my Newcastle United. Do we have to? What a mess that is at the moment. And we'll be joined by commentary legend Martin Tyler in just under half an hour too. What a treat that is. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Now, just before the break, Perry said, we were talking about club v country, weren't we? Obviously, with the World Cup coming up. And you said that you'd rather see Arsenal win the League Cup than England win the World Cup.
Absolutely.
And you also mentioned the FA Cup too. So just the FA Cup this season, just the FA Cup. In this season where you're going for the Premier League, it's looking like you're going to get there finally after 22 years. That would be an absolute disaster.
Oh, so you're saying Arsenal can only win the FA Cup?
They can only win the FA Cup this season.
Yep.
And you'd still just go for that?
Absolutely.
What if it was just the League Cup?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There we go.
Just
03717.
Means more to me.
22, 33, 44. For me, it's that. Because
you didn't answer my question about Newcastle anyway. You skipped it. You're like a politician, weren't you? Just playing for a bit of time.
I think every part of what you've asked there is an interest. It's just me filling time, really, isn't it? But it's a tough.
So answer
no, because you asked me. The thing is, you asked me, would I trade? Because I've lived that moment. Would I trade that League Cup win last season? Which you are right will live with me forever. It was absolutely amazing. I am unbelievably lucky to have been in that moment. So I think that's a bit different.
No, it isn't. Because you'd have to take one for the team. You'd have to say, going into that League Cup final, where obviously you'd experienced losing a League Cup final before, and you're going into that, and even before that League Cup final, you've got to be perfectly honest now. Don't go on your politician like you're on Question Time. Do you know what I mean? Like the Bosch, right? So, if you, before that League Cup final, someone says to you, you win this, but England don't win the World Cup in your lifetime, you don't win this, but England...
It's League Cup final. It's League Cup final.
Yes.
But my point is, I think that's a bit different as a Newcastle fan.
What, because you've had 7
Because
years
it's
of
been
hurt?
so long. Whereas Arsenal, I know the League Cup's a bit different because you haven't won that since the 90s, but the FA Cup, you've won loads of them.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Again, you're going on to, you've won loads. Your sense of entitlement. Arsenal have no sense of entitlement. Arsenal, the fans of the big clubs have no entitlement to think that their club is going to be in the FA Cup final season after season after season, or win it season after season after season, because they become historic days, historic moments in your club's history, which stay with the club for their history. And Arsenal fans...
National history. National history. Anyway, let's speak to James. He's a Chelsea fan. He's called 03717 223344. I mean, James, Chelsea have been a trophy factory, not recently, but, you know, over the last couple of decades. What is it for you? Would you rather see England win the World Cup or Chelsea win the League Cup?
I think England, 100%. You know, I've been very fortunate to see us win the lot, and obviously them memories live with me forever. But you know, the country's only seen us win it once, and that is a generational thing. Imagine saying you've seen that. You know, not many people have seen that or get to see that. And I think just the whole country being together would just be incredible.
What about Chelsea getting relegated and you never come back in the Premier League again and you're in the Championship? No.
That's a bit far-fetched, though, isn't it?
We'll get the Spurs
Well,
fans
have
for
you
that.
seen Spurs? Exactly, that's my point. Because
Yeah,
you're coming from a position where, as Ollie said there, that you've seen your club win trophies, even though you cheated, obviously, because you spent money that you shouldn't have had. But with a little asterisk, as Alan Pardew would say. But with your club, you haven't answered my question. With Chelsea going down in the Championship,
I wouldn't take us never going up again.
But that's not that realistic. But I think it's funny because I think what James is trying to say is it's almost what I'm saying to you there, Perry. If you're a fan of a big club, you will have experienced all of those days out. And James makes the point that as England fans, that just never happened. So in a way, I'd understand it more if you're a fan of a club where winning is much rarer. Much rarer.
No, but just because you're a fan of a big club, it doesn't mean your club means less to you when your team wins the League Cup or the FA Cup. Because that's what you want. You follow your club week in, week out. And it does your complete weekend in, your complete weekend, when your team just gets beat in the Premier League or the game that they're playing in. If England get beat in the semi-final or the final or the last 16, that's not going to ruin my week.
James, would you be more gutted if Chelsea lost the League Cup final or England lost the World Cup final?
England, no doubt. I understand, you don't want to diminish competitions, but you know, I've seen it before where I've never seen England. So, in my opinion, I would take I'd miss out on the Champions League final next year for England to win it.
James, how many England scarves have you got?
England scarves? Not once. It was about 5.
So you haven't got any England scarves?
You got one?
No.
No. How many Chelsea scarves you got?
Just the one.
There you go. See, Chelsea club before country. You haven't got an England scarf, have you?
James, thanks for your call. 03717 223344. We've got a Spurs fan, Joey. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, well, how are you guys doing?
Hello, Joey. Really good, thanks, mate. Where are you on this then?
I mean, I've been listening to this in the car, and I completely agree with Perry. I mean, I would even take it one step further. In our current situation, I would rather stay in the Premier League than England even qualify for the World Cup.
See, there's a proper fan for you.
Would you go along with that, Perry?
What?
Would you go along with that?
I'm not in that position.
Wouldn't want England to qualify. If it meant Arsenal won the
He's
League
not
Cup.
in that position, but I think what Perry was saying about week in, week out. I work in an office, and who do I go to work with? Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, West Ham fans, everything. And the pain of Tottenham losing, Tottenham getting relegated, which will happen, versus the joy of a couple of days of England lifting the trophy that we should have already won with players like Rooney and Lampard and all the the golden generation. I don't even think the two even compare.
But what about all that pain for so many years, and then you have that moment? You mentioned all your mates there, and you all have that moment together as fans, which you rarely ever get.
Yeah, we've got
That's
hands.
amazing.
We've got hands across North London here, right? We're saying there, when you go into work, at the minute, you have no. Oh God, I've got to go into work. I've got to take it. I've got to put
zero out.
You go into work. England win the World Cup. It's going to be that was great, wasn't it? Yeah, you'll have a little bond for like 2 or 3 days.
Get a bank holiday out of it though.
Right. So what? One bank holiday Monday. James
It'll be some bank holiday though.
James is having manic Mondays every week at the minute.
And I know that we're talking about winning a World Cup, but after every tournament, I'm just like, all right, when does the Premier League start again? When are we going to get to, when's the first
Yeah, but that's because
game?
England got knocked out.
Well, that's true, and I think that even after the final, the Euro 2020, the Italy game, I still honestly think that after 2 days after, I'm like, oh well, let's just crack on, and I think that would be the same for most true diehard fans, and I think that if someone were to offer you FA Cup for Newcastle over England winning the Premier League, England winning the World Cup, I think that you'd absolutely go Newcastle.
I would take it, but that's the thing. Newcastle win stuff rarely.
No, but there's no caveat. You either do or you don't.
We win stuff so rarely, though. This is completely different.
No, it isn't.
I think it is. I think it is. You said to me before the show that there was someone. You were talking about your mates who went to the Arsenal League Cup final, and you said, yeah, he's taking his daughter. She's 7, and it's her first final. My first final was when I was 20.
Yeah, but
that's completely different.
No, it isn't, because one of my best mates took his daughter, right? We might not be in another final for another 20 years. Just because we're Arsenal, don't mean to say you're going to be in a final next season after. So that's why they went to the game, because my mate wants a memory with his daughter of going to the final. Excited. We didn't end up particularly well, so she probably got PTSD and never wants to go to a final again. But that might not happen. There's not the sense of time when you think, we're going to go to a final every season just because we're a big club.
Let's speak to Chris, the Arsenal fan. Chris, you with Perry on this?
How you doing, boys? You all right?
Yeah, Chris. Good, you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good. Do you want to hear something funny? And you definitely won't agree with it.
Go on.
Go on, then.
But I would prefer Arsenal win the Emirates Cup than England win the...
That's a proper fan, Chris, you see.
I'd take the Salah Cup, to be fair.
There you go.
Terry, I bet you at the Arsenal tour. You're a legend, mate.
Very kind, Chris, very kind. You're in a small minority.
Can I just ask you a question, Perry?
Yeah, go on.
If we win nothing this season, we keep Arteta?
Yep.
Why?
Yep, because we're only where we are because of Arteta. We were going. By the way, this ain't an Arsenal chat. This is England and Arsenal. But we're only relevant because of Arteta. We're only relevant because of the culture that he's created.
It would be a shambles, I think, if you lost it from here. It would. Can you what about you, Chris?
So who'd you get on? Who you get on instead?
Sorry.
Would it be recoverable though, Chris? If you don't get any trophies this season from where you are right now, sure.
How's this turned into an whoa. Again, the media, right? As it's turned into a negative Arsenal chat, right? When we're still going for the treble. But
Chris brought it up.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris brought it up, mate.
Chris, have a day off. Don't have to work. What if? Don't. We are where we are because of Arteta.
But I just asked the question. You can't spend all that money in 6 years and not win nothing, especially in the position that we're in.
You've won the Emirates Cup, mate.
Every club spends money at the top of the Premier League. We're not on our own spending money.
7 games to go. We can't bottle it from here, surely.
No, I don't think we will.
No, I don't think we will, but that's why I had to ask you the question.
So you're Arteta in?
For the time being, but I just think if we don't win nothing, it's clear that he can't get us over that winning line.
What about one FA Cup, Chris?
Sorry?
What about just the FA Cup?
No, I don't think that's good enough right now because we're 9 points.
See, but Chris, I've got to go, right, this tinge of negativity, even thinking if we don't think he's got to go, forget all that, right? Just get your mindset is, we're going to win the Premier League. Just get your mindset. That's what we're doing. That's what we're coming for. No negativity.
Chris, out of 10, tell me, out of 10, how worried are you that Arsenal will win nothing this season? Out of 10.
Oh, no, out of 7.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 that they won't win anything.
Christian, you got to wobble your head.
Sorry.
Get positive.
No, sorry.
Is this worried Chris from the sports bar? It has to be, doesn't it?
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. You got it wrong way round.
Oh, right, okay.
No Carol Vorderman.
Oh, right. That
So
makes
you're
a lot
rather
more sense.
on the club v country one.
Yeah.
So you are 100% club over country.
All day long.
Right, but an FA Cup's not good enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
And to top it off, why do our players always the ones that get injured in the national break as well?
See, again, Arsenal fans just worried more about them coming back without injuries and rather than England actually winning.
By the way, left with a knee brace yesterday. How long's he going to be out?
No,
for?
I think he's going to be. That's just
It's going to derail your season,
That's
Chris.
just
I think you need to.
Chris, get some positive energy. You've just come. Get some positive energy.
Did Madueke's injury take it from a 3 to a 6, Chris?
No, I want to go that far. But still, I just really don't like international football because it's so boring.
And you're worried about your players getting injured.
Chris, great call. 0371722.
Cheers, Chris.
44. There's a text here from Martin in Merseyside. What's the gunner on about? That's you.
Yep.
A bit of club silverware over a World Cup. Where's his national pride?
I'm very patriotic. I have national pride, but I have more Arsenal pride.
Okay. And then Tony from Bexley. He doesn't agree with you either, Perry. And in fact, he's very angry with you. I don't think.
Is there anybody who does agree? You just reading that negative stuff?
No, yeah, they're the only ones coming through with
Oh,
it.
is that-
It's
yeah,
weird,
right.
Perry. Everyone agrees with me. It's
It's strange,
isn't
isn't it? that You're reading them out.
Anyway, plenty still to come. Keep your calls coming in as well on England. We were chatting about Ben White a bit earlier. Also, commentary legend Martin Tyler is going to join us at 6:30. Looking forward to that. This is Kickoff here on talkSPORT.
Stefan, the cost of missing out on the Champions League. If I throw 4 at you here, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United or Newcastle, missing out in Champions League, who would feel it most?
Yeah, I think Newcastle would definitely feel it the most just because the base they're coming off is that much smaller. So therefore the proportion that's associated with Champions League football is that much bigger. And they probably did something like £55 million of UEFA money. And then on top of that, obviously had the 5 home games on top, which are, or 6, probably 6 actually, when you, I think they had a playoff. So that's 6 home games on top. I mean, that's obviously very significant. So you're talking about 75 million quid out of revenue of, let's say, 300 this season. You know, it's quite a big drop next season if it's not there. Now, obviously, they may get Europa or the conference. The conference doesn't really move the dial at all. And Europa, you have to win it really to make a meaningful difference. And that then brings you a Champions League place. So I think Newcastle will feel it the most. But it will definitely be painful for the others. It will be painful for Manchester United. It doesn't look like they're going to miss out. But if they did, of course, that would be the second.
you're going to boo anything, you should boo the cheese and bacon burgers.
Oh, goes out to Lawrence. He didn't boo Ben White. He booed those burgers. Wembley.
Thing is, it's very bit of cathartic there, wasn't it, for Lawrence? Listen to that, thinking I'm all right now until I go to the next game.
Yeah.
And then I'll be outraged. That bacon ain't crispy.
He's going for hot dogs next time, surely.
With onions?
There
Crispy onions.
won't be enough onions.
Crispy
There won't be
onions.
enough.
He knows, but Lawrence knows his onions.
He knows his onion. That's great. Let's get a quick update from Paul Mitchell. He's watching Scotland against Japan.
And it's Scotland 0, Japan 0. But Scotland much livelier in this second half. No changes made by Steve Clarke at the start of the second half. Good shot from McLean from a free kick 25 yards out, tipped over by Zion Suzuki, the goalkeeper. He was also in action 3 minutes later. Great run down the left-hand side by Andy Robertson. The Scotland skipper into the box, the goalkeeper full length to turn the ball behind for a corner. Scotland against Japan, we've played 58 minutes here. It's 0-0.
And it's half-time at the Emirates in the WSL. Angelina Kelly.
Half-time, Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1, a lively North London derby so far as Alessia Russo bagged herself a first-half hat-trick. It was well-deserved. There is a reason why she came third in the Ballon d'Or. She has been absolutely relentless, world-class from the first whistle. Her first goal came just 5 minutes in as she headed a Katie McCabe corner into the back of the net from the edge of the 6-yard box. Her second came just 2 minutes later as she slotted the ball diagonally into the far corner of the net after being played through by Olivia Smith. Spurs did pull one back from a corner. Tinker Tamberg claimed it, although Arsenal's Frida Marnham might have got a decisive touch. However, that lifeline lasted less than 10 minutes as Alessia Russo got her hat-trick thanks to a terrible error from Spurs goalkeeper Lisa Kopp as she scuffed a ball meant for her defender and sent it straight to the feet of Russo, who fired it home. When Spurs get the ball, they are trying to create something going forward, but defensively, they have collapsed at the hands of superstar Russo. Martin Ho is going to have to find a way for his players to deal with her more effectively in the second half. As to be honest, she could have got 2 hat-tricks in that first half alone. Half-time, Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1.
Angelina, thank you very much indeed. Now we're going to stick to a bit of Arsenal chat, Perry, because every week Adrian Durham, Alex Crook and Angelina, who you just heard there, bring you Fiery Fridays on the talkSPORT Daily podcast feed. On yesterday's edition, Adrian had this shout about Arsenal youngster Max Dowman.
Max Dowman needs to leave Arsenal and as soon as possible. OK, let me explain. Max Dowman has seen Miles Lewis-Skelly's career derailed by Mikel Arteta. He's not even third choice left back now. Hincapié Calafiori ahead of him in a Wembley final. He's also seen another youth team product, Ethan Nwaneri, used to boost Arteta's ego. Ooh, look at me, I play young players. And yet in their title season, he's been sent to Marseille with no recall clause, which is just total disrespect. So Max Dowman needs to take a look at these things and realise that all he is another tick in Mikel Arteta's box about young players and how he plays them. It's all about Arteta. It's not about Dowman.
So, Perry, should Max Dowman leave Arsenal Football Club?
He's been a very silly boy. I love Aid, and some of the stuff that he says I don't agree with, but I can get his point, and see where he's coming from, even though I think he's talking like nonsense. This one, it's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life, because the reason that Nwaneri has been let to go to Marseille, and I said at the time we shouldn't because we needed numbers, right? And the reason that Lewis-Skelly isn't playing is because they're not good enough. They're not good enough to get an Arsenal team. It's not a vanity project from Mikel Arteta, because Lewis-Skelly got in the side and proved at that time that he was good enough, played at left back, coming into midfield. His performance levels have dropped. Nwaneri's performance levels have dropped as well, because to get an Arsenal side now, you're battling with Eberechi Eze, you're battling with Martin Odegaard in those sort of the 10 positions. Max Dowman, and if Aid have seen him play, not just coming on, obviously, for his cameo against Everton, where he did unbelievable, and he was the best player against Mansfield, by the way, in the FA Cup when it was the old pitch. It was like Horse of the Year show. I've been on it beforehand. Max Dowman is a different level, a completely different level. And he's good enough. From this season, he'll get more minutes. He's good enough for next season to, worst ways out, be on the bench and pushing to start in the first team. And you forget, he's actually getting on a bit now. I think he's 16 and 52 days, so he's getting on. So what Aid has just said, and Arsenal have a brilliant track record of nurturing younger players. If you look the way, obviously, with Jack Wilshere coming through the Highland Academy, Bukayo Saka, coming in, and Saka got in young, played in. We talked about the Carabao Cup. That's what Arsenal use that for, to introduce the young players. Saka's proved that doesn't matter how old you are, if you're good enough, you'll stay in the team. That's exactly what will happen to Max Dowman. So, Aid saying about he's derailed their careers, they have to be culpable because they haven't been good enough. Their performance haven't been good enough at a level. And he's right about Myers Lewis-Skelly. He's probably now third choice, maybe fourth choice left back, because obviously Nkapie's playing, Calafiori, and I think...
Should he move then?
Lewis-Skelly.
What about Wanyeri?
I think they'll both be sold at the end of the season. Because of the levels that they have to get to, they're not at that level at the moment. And there's going to be other players that obviously come in because you have to strengthen the squad when you're in a position of strength yourself. But Max Dowman, and people thought I was exaggerating. I know obviously the neutrals now have seen what he did against Everton, which was different level for someone who's 16. The way he puts when he puts Dewsbury Hall down on his backside, where any normal player would pass it inside to Martinelli and think, I've done my job, you run and score. The composure that he showed, he is like a 16-year-old I've never seen before. And I'm talking about, I see Bukayo Saka play when he was 16. Do you know what I mean? He's on a different level. And he is at the best club that he can be at, that nurtures young talent. And even if he was, say he had next season and he wasn't getting any minutes or game time, then Aid said that, then I might sort of grieve and think, actually, you need to go and play. He's 16. He's not even 16 and a half yet. So for him to do what he's doing, to be on the bench, is the standard that he's at. And the players, the senior players around him, he gives them a lift. So if I was Arteta, I'd put him on in the second half straight away on Sunday, because Arsenal were passive and there was no positivity. And he gives the fans a lift and he gives the players a lift on the pitch, and they'll get that positivity because he's playing with no fear. So what Aid says there, and I know obviously the Daily Arsenal comes in and he's probably trying to poke Arsenal fans with a little bit of a sharp stick. But what he said there is ridiculous, because Max Dowman is a different level. And I'm comparing him to Lewis-Skelly and Nuran, and they are very, very, very good young players. Max Dowman is a different level.
To be fair, you look at the example of maybe someone like a Cole Palmer, though, who then moved over to Chelsea and became that main man, that main player. You know, you were saying there, and I know how young he is, and I understand that essentially it's going to be a few cameo appearances, then maybe he eventually starts. So is Adrian basically trying to say here, no, go to a club where you are going to start every single week.
Then,
what you can do.
So he's that good.
Because I get what you mean. Because
whatever club he goes
Arsenal
to,
need to be at a standard where they're winning a title.
Right, but whatever club Max Dowman goes to is going to be a step down. Right? Where he is now, he's at one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
But he might play more.
No, but he's 16. He's 16. You're not talking about someone who's, this sounds ridiculous, who's 18 or 19, who has got, and Cole Palmer was probably round about that age, probably about like 19, 20, but he's pathway into the first team. He knew he had no chance of getting in the first team with the players that he was trying to get in front of. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne there at the time, was it Bernardo Silva, whatever. So he went because he thought, I'm not going to get game time here. So quite rightly, then he thinks, for my career, I've got a decision to make now at the age that I'm at, that I want regular game time. He goes to Chelsea, quite rightly, he gets his regular game time. Max Dowman's not in anywhere near that in his career at the moment, because he's on the bench for the Premier League leaders at the moment, and a team that is in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. He is in their matchday squad of 20 at 16 and 50 days. That in itself is mind-blowing.
When does he start there? How does this go? Is it next season he carries on with substitute cameo appearances? Because I think he's played, 46 minutes, something like that, this season.
Well, he's 16.
No, I know. I'm just trying to map this career, you know, in the next couple of years, in your eyes. Does he do cameo appearances next season and then start for Arsenal?
But also, they have to develop him differently, because of when you're 16, you have growth spurts. You know what I mean? Your body is changing, so you have to, again, manage the minutes. But he will be a player next season will be knocking on the door to start regularly, because he is that good. And it'll be regularly, whether he's in a 10, whether he can play on the right-hand side, whether he can play on the left-hand side, because Max Dowman is a natural footballer. And so next season, he will play more starting games than what he did this season. And if he's at the level, and it doesn't matter if it's Eze or Martin Odegaard, and if they're not playing and he gets in and he plays the standard that I think he can play, then he becomes a starter. That is how good he is. So say for Aid to say that he needs to be going and playing somewhere else, why would he go and play? Why would he go and step down a level where he doesn't know whether he's going to get more minutes next season? If Aid would have said, Yeah, give it next season and then Serie A. And then if he gives it next season, he's still only 17. Do you know what I mean? So he's got a lot of developing to do, but he will be, as he is now, regularly in that 20, which is quite mind-blowing, and he will make a difference. When he comes on from now to the rest of the season, he will make differences in games. And if he does, then you can go to the manager and say, well, you keep putting me on and I keep making a difference. I want to start now.
03717223344. Do you agree with Adrian Dome? Should Max Dowman move away from Arsenal? Or as Perry says, is it all a bit of nonsense, that shout from Adrian Dome? We'll take calls on that after 6:45. Up next, though, we will be joined by a legend of commentary. Martin Tyler joins us in just a moment.
Oh, yes!
You played in career in Japan, didn't you? World Cup in 2002. Did you find it hard, the weather conditions to play in?
They are tough, and in South Africa as well. We played a game, and then the altitude, the ball moves different and everything. And if you're not used to it, as we know, we all love to go on holiday in the summer, but playing football, running around in that heat and that weather, it takes its toll at the time, and we're just not a nation that's used to that. So that's one of the major things I look at when it comes to that tournament being over there.
What about strikers? We know Harry Kane's going to go, but if you looked at the Euros, he was injured, wasn't he? And Gareth Southgate was still playing it. Maybe they didn't trust other strikers in the squad. What do you think of tonight? Do you think Solanke and Calvert-Lewin have to put in a performance?
I think it's their chance of breaking in, isn't it? It's their chance of solidifying themselves in that talk of being the one to take over, because we really don't know who's going to take over from Harry Kane or what it's going to look like after he leaves. I was
scarring this for Lawrence, isn't it?
No, I think it's cathartic. I think it's cathartic. I think he's like getting a lot of positivity out of it. Weird Al Yankovic, I think this is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This was Lawrence, the Spurs fan, who called up earlier to tell us he didn't boo Ben White at the England game last night. He was booing the burgers. Not enough bacon. Sort it out, Wembley.
Cheese and fat, but wasn't even bacon. It was just a bit of rind, wasn't it, apparently?
Horrendous.
He didn't tell us how much it was either, did he?
No,
I thought he was going to have a rant about that.
Oh yeah, I think he was off on all sorts of tangents with
$14.99 for just like a.
In fact, Lawrence, if you're still listening, can you text 81089? Tell us how much it was. I want to know. I want to know how much that was. Anyway, I'm delighted to say that we are now joined by broadcasting royalty.
Martial is isolated. Skirtle here. Oh, yes! Welcome to Manchester United. Anthony Martial. Drogba! He pulls the rabbit out of the hat again. Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli. Aguero!
just have to get goosebumps at those moments, don't you? It's incredible, isn't it?
I've got no hair on my head, but the hairs on the back of my neck still stand up.
Oh, it's unbelievable, and I am absolutely delighted to say that legendary commentator and big Woking fan Martin Tyler joins us. How you doing, Martin?
I'm fine, Ollie. Nice to talk to you, and to you, of course, Perry, as well. I haven't seen you for a while, but we won't take long catching up, will we? Because we've seen a lot of each other down the years.
Very much so.
Absolutely. Martin, today is non-league day. As I mentioned, you are a big Woking fan, but this day is all about clubs in the National League and below getting some much-needed revenue whilst the Premier League clubs, etc., are on an international break. It didn't go too well, though, for your Woking today, did it?
Well, it's the first time they've lost in several weeks. But, you know, you've missed the story here. The story is Stuart Pearce. And Stuart Pearce's Wealdstone have got to Wembley. If the bosses are listening, it's Sunday, the 17th of May, which is a Premier League weekend. It's a full Sunday because the Cup final's on the 16th. Wealdstone are playing Southend United in the trophy final, and Pearcey will be nowhere else but there. And you should get him on, because I saw him at Wembley last night. He was absolutely up for the semi-final today. And sadly for me, they beat the team that knocked out Woking in the previous round, Marine from up in the Liverpool area. So well done, Pearcey. Well done, Wealdstone. So yeah, for Woking is safe now, which is important. So that's my take on it. And you're right, I've been a Woking supporter since I was 8 years old, and you all know how old I am now. So it's a long time.
So, Martin, you mentioned obviously Pearcey played for Wealdstone, where he started a career in the non-league. Do you think there's a bit of lazy scouting, because there is a lot of talent in the National League? Because there's a lot of players, young players, that, you know, maybe don't quite make it at the youth team level, then have to drop down. Obviously, Jamie Vardy is another brilliant example.
Well, yes, I mean it is a rich mind to be. A rich vein of football talent to be mined. I don't know whether it's anything to do with the fact that a lot of the scouting is done on database now. Maybe not so much statistics are available for the non-league scene. But they should be looking, that's for sure. And whether the foreign... It's a unique pyramid that we have, isn't it? Funny enough, I'd rather it was called the pyramid football, because non-league sounds a bit negative, doesn't it? There's only... I'm just looking at the top 7 after today's results. We've got 6 clubs that have been in the Football League: Rochdale, York, Carlisle, Scunthorpe, Forest Green, Southend. And Boreham Wood are the only sort of what you might call a traditional non-league club who are in their 4th. And Bromley have gone up recently. Sutton United went up and came down again. So I think that's an old term, non-league. There should be another term, much more positive, because the football is fantastic. And when I was assistant manager at Woking until 2018 to 2022, we went full-time professional. And it was a big step up for a team that part-time. But I think pretty much all the National League teams are full-time now. And that's going to impact the validity of the 3-up campaign, which is being pushed all the time, and I think has a lot of merit in it. And Rick Parry from the Football League did actually say it's going to happen, when, of course, it's down to Rick and his henchmen there.
You mentioned there about the strength of it as well. I just looked at the National League. You've got clubs like Aldershot and Morecambe, obviously, struggling at the bottom. So it just shows you said there, really it's League 3, isn't it? Because it is that strong.
Yeah. The problem is, Perry, that they are the National League. They've got their own identity. Of course, there's National League South and the National League North as well. So to give up that administration, become part of the Football League, but I think in football terms, it all links together very well. I hope it does financially, because as in every level of football, even the Premier League, really, we're concerned about sustainability. Non-league football in the past, I've been involved in it for a long time, you get people who come in and have big ambitions and maybe not quite as big a pockets as they think, but they put a lot of money in, and the club actually puts itself in debt, and there are negative reactions to it. So I think it's very important for the clubs from the National League to be accountable financially. What we don't want is teams going up gambling on a bit of success that doesn't happen, and then they end up, the communities lose the club, because surely that's the essence. What we're all really proud of is the link between almost the village club and the Premier League, and it's been wonderful that has been in my lifetime. That's happened. It didn't exist until the Football League allowed the non-league teams to be in that pyramid. But it's made it fantastic, and with the playoffs as well, everybody seems to be involved. It's unique. Of all the things in English football, I think I'm the proudest of that of all, because it's democratic and everyone has a chance. Yeah, there are restrictions, but everyone has a chance.
Yeah, and hopefully days like today help with those gate receipts and help with those financial situations. Martin, just to speak about your career, because you are, of course, one of the most recognised voices in football. I just wanted to ask you about the debate going on with the Premier League at the moment, and Perry will absolutely have heard this as an Arsenal supporter, that the football has become, and the style of football has potentially become a bit stale. Now, obviously, you commentated on the Premier League for decades. What are your thoughts on this argument?
Still do, Ollie. So I still do.
Of course. Sorry, every week with the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, it's a definite debate. For me, I'm addicted to it. I just love watching it, whatever it is. There is a reason for the game being played as it is now. I think it's behold on us broadcasters to try and explain why it's happening. I mean, clubs definitely slow the game down to allow them to recover their sharpness for sharper attack. I mean, you don't have, the fans want it, but you don't have to score with every attack. I mean, when Perry got the ball, he probably did want to, that kind of player. But really, there is it's a long time. It's not only 90 minutes now. So it's measuring, I suppose, the energy levels, particularly with the amount of football that we play, which I'm all in favour of. I don't want anybody to talk about cutting the Premier League games down to 18 clubs or something like that. But I think you live with it. I was watching. I went to an Everton reunion in the midweek, and it was about the famous game between Everton and Bayern Munich in the Cup Winners' Cup in 1985. And pretty much all the guys were there. It was a wonderful night, and they were 1-0 down. They 0-0 away to Bayern, 1-0 down at half time in the home leg at Goodison, and they won 3-1. And 2 of the 3 goals came from long throws. And, that's now being debated as, we're slowing the game down or whatever. But in non-league football, the long throw's been there all the time. It's just been reinvented. That's seemingly part of the problem. I wish there was a bit more freedom to it. I'm a bit frightened of all the new VAR interventions in terms of timing throws, substitutes coming off. In whatever it is, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, they've got to rush off. What you'll find is, of course, every substitution will be for an injured player now. The player will have an injury or look like he's got an injury, and that won't work. That rule won't work. So I just think they're messing about with it a bit, and maybe that's got something to do with the fact that it's not as free-flowing. It's not the same, but there was some not particularly watchable football in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and noughties, and up to now. It's when you go to a game, it's like going to a movie, really. Well, a movie, you probably know what the ending is, but you go to a game and you hope you're going to be enthralled by it. I'm still enthralled.
Do you know what, Martin? I think you're right there. Football goes in trends, and in the 80s, the football was it was levelled at the football that it was 2 route 1. It was just smashing the ball, and it was all fight ball. And Wimbledon were brilliant, when they came through and they played like a physical game. So football just goes in trends, because about a year to 18 months ago, a lot of fans were saying that they were bored with pass, go from left back, do the horseshoe shape, come back in, not going behind. Now, a lot of clubs are getting the ball forward a lot quicker. As Martin said there, it's like there's throw-ins. We have all the jeopardy from like corners. Who'd have thought that you can score goals from corners? Nowadays, if a team takes a short corner, most fans are going, don't get it in the box. We want to see like an effort on goal. We want to see the pushing and the holding is too much, where the referees have got, get a grips of it. But I agree with Martin. The Premier League now, in the middle tier of the Premier League, is the strongest it's ever been. I don't think you're going to get any teams now that are going to get 95, 96 points. Because if you play Bournemouth, if you play Brighton in a good bit of form now, if you play Brentford, Palace are coming back, those teams will give you a game. And even the teams at the bottom, we've seen with Wolves now, with Rob Edwards going there and getting them more organised, there's no given. There's no given now in the Premier League.
you've got Sunderland above Newcastle, just newly promoted. I do agree that I think the money's been spent wisely. I mean, clubs get a lot of money, obviously, from the various revenue streams, particularly from us broadcasters, but it's using it properly. And what Sunderland, I believe, they went to the playoff final, didn't they? And they had a plan for if they stayed in the Championship and a plan for if they got promoted. And I can't remember we've had playoff finals for a long time, and the clubs who go up by the playoffs often say, well, it was a big disadvantage. We had to wait 2 or 3 weeks before we knew. But Sunderland had it all mapped out. And look what they've done with it. It's fantastic. Everton, as I say, I was up there in the week. They're full of excitement, having just beaten Chelsea, and roundly so, a proper. I don't know about you, Perry, but I thought that was a proper performance from a football team for any decade that I've watched football, the way Everton beat Chelsea.
I think what it was, you had a master against a pupil in, obviously, David Moyes against Leon Rosenior. Both teams set up 4-2-3-1, but Everton were just better structured, and those players knew their jobs. So you've got what I call a young, up-and-coming manager, Leon Rosenior, who's learning his trade, with players that are learning his trade, and that ain't going to work in the Premier League.
Just on the topic of it all being enthralling as well, Martin, because I'm completely with you on that. And I'm actually with you because of the storylines we've seen, especially this season compared to last season. The relegation has been unbelievable, really, with Tottenham so down there. And I actually wanted to ask you about that. You've obviously covered so many Premier League moments and Premier League stories, and there's been a bit of a debate about, just how big that would be if Tottenham Hotspur were to drop out of the division. Would you put it up there with, for instance, the Leicester title win? How big would you put that story in a Premier League context?
Nothing like as big as the Leicester title win. I think that is just really, that is the fairy tale of the Premier League, really, isn't it? I don't know. I've said earlier that use the word democracy. You get what you deserve at the end of a season. I did the Forest game recently, and I did the game the year before, and Forest were then pushing for a place in the Champions League, and Spurs was 16th or 17th in the Premier League. So a year on from that, nothing had changed at Tottenham. So if you can't sort it out, and with the amount of time that's available and the pulling power of the club and the wonderful stadium, make no mistake about it, it is, well, I think, when it was built and announced, it was the best stadium in the world. There'll be others that have been built since, but including Everton, which is very good as well. So Villa went down. That's probably the nearest to it, isn't it, really? They were ever present when it went down. It doesn't resonate with me as much as I can remember Spurs getting relegated before. I can also remember them winning the league, and that was a lot further back than that. So I don't know. I think the winning is much more nice to talk about than a bit of failure. It will be tough if they do go down, and whoever goes down from that 4, I suppose we're still talking about, it'll be tough to get back up again. But Leeds have done it recently, so maybe they can do it again if they go down. I'm pleased, Leeds fans. I'm not suggesting for a moment. I have no idea, if you're going to ask me, Ollie, which one is going down. And as a commentator, I just avoid predictions, because I realised quite a long time ago that if you'd said something, suppose I said to you, oh, so-and-so is going to win the league, and then I'm commentating the game involving that team, and they're either winning and I'm rubbing my lapel saying, oh, I know what I'm talking about, which is wrong, and then or they're losing, and I'm thinking, oh, I was on talkSPORT and I said they were going to win the league, and just keep your mind off it, just concentrate on the game. That's my advice to all commentators. Bottom line, watch the game.
Just on that advice for commentators, Martin, because I'm sure there'll be people listening who you've been a huge inspiration for. What in your eyes makes a good commentator, especially in this modern day and age?
Love of the game, nothing else. If you've got love of the game, you can learn the rest. But you can't learn to love a game if you don't really feel that. And recognise what a career might, in the end, suppose you're going to give up 40 weekends for the next 30 years. Do you love the game that much? that's also a question. I was at one of the universities up in Manchester in the week as well when I was up to Everton. And that's what I say to them. Look, have a look at what your career might be like. And are you here for the reason that football is the most important thing? Are you here just... They're on student courses. The media courses are fantastic now. Were you on one, Ollie? Did you do one?
I did actually, yes. Yeah.
And he still made it here.
And it's, somehow, no one knows how.
Are you overqualified, Ollie? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not.
Do you know what you said there, Mark, about, loving the game, and it has to be in your bones as well, but also, which you haven't lost, the passion for the game. But when you go to the games, it is a privilege. It is a privilege to be in a stadium doing the job that you love and watching the sport that you love. And you can never get away from that it is a privilege. I never lose that, any co-commentary that I do, ever.
No, and that's what I said. The co-commentators that I work with, they're all the same. Matt Holland I work with quite a lot, and he comes with a collar and tie all the time. And that's totally the point you're making. Total respect for it. And at the end of the game that I do, I always like to go around and thank. I've been in somebody's house, their stadium. And I like to thank people for accommodating me and helping me with the broadcast. We get a lot of help. I mean, Perry, you were on the other side where you were playing and you were helping me as a commentator. We'd have chats before the game. But now you're having the chats and getting the help from this current generation. And it's a family affair, really. And that's why I think it's hard for players who don't have the privilege that you have of working every week at games, for players to get that out of their systems. And no wonder there are some stories that of players who find it really hard to lose that camaraderie. We're broadcasters. We have camaraderie. We're in the press lounge, chatting, talking, exchanging news. Commentators altogether pretty boring. They'd be going, "Oh, so-and-so's dyed his hair. Watch out, he's got yellow boots now instead of brown boots." that was last week. Don't ever find yourself in a group of commentators. Ollie, I'll bring you into this. You're always entertaining, so you're fine. But anyway, it's a privilege. I've been so lucky, and it's great to be on a wonderful radio station, which I listen to all the time, to be able to just thank everybody for what they've done for me to help me to where I'm lucky to be today.
We've been lucky to have you too.
It's been our honour, Martin. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, Martin.
Cheers, guys. All the best. See you soon.
Thank you very much. There we go. Martin Tyler, legend of...
Do you know what as well? Have you said legend in commentary? You put up the Barry Davises and the John Watsons and the Brian Moores and Martin Tyler's there, the icons. What we got from Martin there is the passion and the privilege, but humbleness. That has to stay with you. Do you know what I mean? That we are humbled to be able to do this. And all we do, we give opinions. I get, when I meet people, you're radio over there, you're talking out your backside, rah, rah. But it's done in it's just an opinion. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. And so Martin says when he commentates, he just says what he sees on the pitch and doesn't make any predictions because he knows they're going to come back and bite him in the backside.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So there's a bit of advice for you.
Yeah, and that's just me that comes up to you and says all that anyway, so it's all good. What a pleasure that was there with Martin Tyler. We'll be back in just a moment here on Kickoff on talkSPORT.
Liverpool have announced on Tuesday the cost of attending a match at Anfield is going to increase. It's going to go up by 3% next season, following further increases in line with inflation over the next two campaigns. They've decided to do this despite consulting with the Liverpool FC Supporters Board a decision which was firmly opposed by fan leaders. Liverpool have revealed that adult general admission tickets, which currently cost £39 to £61, are going to rise between about £1.25 and £1.75. Adult season tickets, priced at £713 to £904, will increase by £21 or £27. They say the cost of junior tickets and local general tickets available to those with a Liverpool postcode would remain frozen. Fenway Sports, though, the owners of Liverpool, have been in charge since 2010, haven't increased prices on the Kop since they took over in 2010. So I suppose the big question is why have they decided now to put up the prices, and why do they believe that they need to go up over the next 3 years in line with inflation?
Lawrence has been back in touch. We're playing this for him, of course. He called in a bit early, if you missed it. Lawrence, the Spurs fan, to tell us that he didn't boo Ben White in the England game last night, even though he is a Spurs fan as well as an England fan. He was booing the burgers. And guess what, Perry? Guess how much the burger was?
I'm going to go £8.50.
Tenner.
What?
Tenner.
Well, it must have been £9.99.
No bacon. No bacon. A tenner.
Lawrence must be outraged.
I don't think he's gone.
The game's gone. Game's gone.
Completely gone. I reckon he's going to call back up. Genuinely, I think he's one of those. I think he's that fuming. Anyway, that's a nonsense from Wembley. They've got to sort that out. If you're going to pay a tenner, fill it with bacon.
It must have been with chips as well, though.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. These days.
Thing is, well, when people call it fries, you go, no, not fries, they're chips.
Yeah, I completely
We're
agree.
not Belgium. We're not from Belgium.
Yeah, especially in England game. Come on.
Exactly, they're fries.
Let's get an update from the game between Scotland and Japan with Paul Mitchell. There's been a goal.
There has been a goal, and it came just before the final whistle. Yunya Ito, after 83 minutes, lovely move by Japan, worked nicely down the left-hand side, cut back in. Shogi laid it off with his back to goal, and Yunya Ito, a little skip step to the right-hand side and finished beyond Angus Gunn. No more than Japan deserved. To be fair, they had more of the ball, they had more shots and more shots on target than Scotland, who were just a little bit subdued. Japan emptied their bench, brought on a whole pile of experience, and that certainly made the difference. Scotland, well, they've now got an unwanted thing. They've now played Japan 4 times without scoring against them, joining Cambodia, who have done precisely the same. Japan have played Cameroon 6 times and never conceded to them. But today, Scotland rarely looked like scoring. The best chance coming after 8 minutes. McGinn cross on the right-hand side. McTominay, 6 yards out, drove the ball, almost certain to go in, but the goalkeeper somehow got a hand to it and touched the ball onto the post. I'm not sure Steve Clarke would have learned an awful lot from tonight. Nathan Patterson had his moments at right back, also had 1 or 2 little shaky spells. Hendry and McKenna looked relatively comfortable in the middle. Andy Robertson was just Andy Robertson as always. Tommy Conway didn't really do too much with his chance on the left-hand side, but it's a home defeat in a friendly. Nothing new there for Scotland. It's finished Scotland 0, Japan 1.
Still had a better international break than most of the home nations, though. Let's.
You know what I loved about Paul's reporting there? He said after about 15-20 minutes, Japan have had the ball. They've passed it around quite nicely, quite calmly. Basically, there's no massive leg-breaking tackles going in. They're not throwing booting everybody. And you think, yeah, that'll do for against England, thanks. Just keep it like that. Play nice, pretty football. Yeah. So Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka can come back and they don't get any injury.
Yeah, keep it like that, Japan. Let's get an update as well from Angelina Kelly, who's watching the Women's North London derby. Any way back into it for Spurs, Angelina?
It's not looking good. It's Arsenal 4, Tottenham 1. A goal for Caitlin Ford. Smilla Holmberg crossed the ball from the right-hand side over the top, straight to Ford, inside the box. She's given far too much time on the ball, controls it and slots it past the hands of Lisa Kopp in goal and into the near corner of the net. Alessia Russo, Chloe Kelly, Mariana Caldente and Olivia Smith have all been subbed off for Ford. Stina Blackstenius, Victoria Palova and Beth Mead. Smith was on a yellow card, but overall I think this is with the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final fixture with Chelsea in mind next week. It is Arsenal 4, Tottenham 1.
Easy street for the Gunners then. Right, in just a moment we'll be crossing to Manchester ahead of Moses Atama against Jermaine Franklin. Really looking forward to that fight. It will be live on talkSPORT. Our voice of boxing, Adam Castle, is going to join us next.
with Mo Salah leaving, a lot of commentators have talked about the fact there's a lack of icons in the Premier League. Obviously, last year we had De Bruyne leave. You've had, over the course of the last few years, you've had Ronaldo back fleetingly. You've had Ibrahimovic here fleetingly. But the big boys don't come to the Premier League, do they? I mean, Haaland is probably the only global icon that is still there. Would that be fair? I mean, Son's not there anymore. De Bruyne's not there anymore. Salah's going. Kane, Ronaldo, Zlatan, all gone. Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, Messi, Neymar. They would rather play elsewhere. Why?
That's a very good question. I don't think there's as many superstars today as the kind of has been in the past. Obviously, Messi, Ronaldo were the two superstars, and no one could get anywhere near them. And that doesn't mean to say that others like Neymar and Luis Suarez weren't. What I would say is, I think Real Madrid's, whatever you say about Manchester United, even when they're at their pomp, that I think are the biggest club in the world, the most attractive club in the world. You could argue maybe even Madrid in terms of just living there as well.
The Six Nations, where giants do battle and legends are made. Epic sports which demands an epic voiceover every time. And actually has an interesting story as well. It all started back in 1871 when Scotland beat England in the very first international rugby match. The other home nations were a bit jealous, wanted in on the action, and after England played Wales in 1882, they all decided to hold an annual festival of international rugby, or the Home International Championship, which kicked off a year after. Now, the first decade was dominated by England and Scotland until Wales finally won in 1893 and Ireland a year later. After years of dipping in and out of the championship, France was invited to join full-time in 1910. But because France isn't a home nation, they had to give it a rebrand and settle on the Five Nations. But France were actually kicked out of the tournament in 1931. They were accused of paying players when rugby was still strictly an amateur sport. They had to wait years to be let back in. But after World War II, the Five Nations resumed. Didn't always run smoothly though, like in 1973 when all 5 teams won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. Now, because they didn't do points difference at the time, they just decided that everyone was the champion. It's like trying to keep kids happy, the whole, you're all winners. In the years following, other teams in Europe started to get better at rugby and actually got to a stage where they were regularly beating teams in the Five Nations. In 1997, Italy beat Scotland, France and Ireland home and away. So 2 years later, the Five Nations invited Italy in, creating the Six Nations as we know it. In recent years, there have been calls to expand the tournament further to other European teams. Georgia and Portugal have been prime candidates to join of late. It's also been suggested there could be 2 tiers with promotion and relegation to promote growth of the sport in Europe. But the existing nations are a bit reluctant. So for now, it looks like the Six Nations, or Six Nations, or Sei Nazioni, is here to stay.
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. I hope you're having a cracking Saturday evening. I'm with the former Arsenal winger, Perry Groves. Remember, live coverage of Moses Atauma against Jermaine Franklin follows us from 8 o'clock. That is tasty. It's a big heavyweight clash. Big night for Atauma as well. That's coming at you after we're done here. So much still on the way, though, for you. We're going to chat about Mo Salah leaving Liverpool and where he ranks among the greats of the Premier League. We'll also have a look at the USA and their chances under Mauricio Pochettino at the World Cup. All of that and plenty more. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. By the way, Perry, we played that pizza song earlier for Lawrence, who's furious with his burger. We had a text from Olly saying, it takes me back to Psycho and Southgate missing penalties. Do you remember that advert? Was it pizza?
Oh, yeah, where they had the bags over their heads.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. You see, you got to own it. You got to own it.
Got to.
Helps if you get a few quid to own it as well. To be fair, do you know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
Eases the pain just a tad.
Yeah, and score a penalty against Spain.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like Martin Tyler was saying, wasn't he, that it's a great day for Stuart Pearce. I actually heard him a bit earlier on talkSPORT. He was on with Sean Dyche and Johnny Owen, saying how excited he was to go and watch Wimbledon. It's National League Day or non-league day. And they got the job done, going to Wembley.
I think he was sat next to the Wilson Raider.
That's quite an
We having it? We having it? You ain't saying that to Pearce, is he? To be fair.
Yeah.
And what about if you put the question to Pearcey, like club versus country? Do you think he'll be on the fence at all?
I'm not sure, Perry. Yeah. Should get him on and ask him, I reckon, yeah.
I think it'll be like a two-footed tackle from about 50 yards away.
Absolutely.
Country all day long.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you brought that up a bit earlier, didn't you? Arsenal winning the League Cup over England winning the World Cup. Would you be brave enough to say that to Pearcey?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had the debate with Pearcey as well about that. He's obviously very much patriotic country, which I get, and I'm very much.
How far away were you from it?
Oh, was
over a loudspeaker.
I was over the airways. Over the airwaves. I wasn't in the same
what, you were at another ground
yeah,
or something?
I wasn't in the same postcode.
Yeah, that's a good idea, I think. Talking of scrapping, there is a huge fight tonight live on talkSPORT. Thank you very much. When we're done at 8, it's over to Manchester for live heavyweight boxing.
I remember sparring him when he was 15. To be fair, that's probably the hardest spars that I had.
I think he's the real deal at Toma.
It's going to be an exciting ride watching this boy do his thing in the heavyweight division over the next few years.
Hailing from Chatham, Kent, England.
This kid is on fire right now. He's getting better and better.
The best chance of beating Usyk is Moses Atalma.
Moses Atalma!
I like Moses a lot. Moses reminds me of a young Mike Tyson.
Moses Atalma makes it look so easy.
A lot of people are basically just saying like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out. And like, I probably would.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. What a talent Moses Atalma is. He takes on Jermaine Franklin. We will have it for you live on talkSPORT, and we can cross over to Manchester. It's going to be at the Co-op Arena. And Adam Catterall, talkSPORT's voice of boxing, joins us. How you doing, Adam?
I'm great. Oh, listen, that segue that you just threw a couple of seconds ago, where you've gone from scrapping to scrapping, was absolutely
seamless.
Sensational.
He doesn't just throw this together.
Levels, bro. Levels.
The only thing I've done right on the show, probably.
You've dropped it into second. You've hit the overtake, and away you've gone. Some beautiful.
Catman, talk to me about this fight, because we saw Moses Atalma wipe the floor with Dillian Whyte last time out, and there was such a big build-up to that fight. Do you see something similar happening this time around against Franklin?
Listen, I can't argue with the matchmaking tonight, because this is supposed to be a test to give Moses Atalma rounds. Jermaine Franklin's been here on a couple of occasions, obviously, previously. Fell short against Dillian Whyte on that majority decision against him, and then obviously he went the distance with Anthony Joshua, who beat him over a unanimous decision. He's a tough customer. Nobody stopped him before. So that's the big challenge that faces Moses Atalma. I think it's being used as a bit of a barometer, because you know what's going to happen off the back of this. If Moses does Moses, then everybody's been going crazy, saying, well, look what happened with the Anthony Joshua fight. Look what Moses Atalma's just taken care of. Like I said, at this stage of his career, at 21 years of age, this is the right opponent just to see where he's at. But if he does do what Moses has been doing of late, then it's going to be very hard to keep the reins on him for the rest of 2026. We might even be talking a shot at the world title, boys, before the end of the year.
Captain, no, it's unreal. He's had 13 fights. He's only boxed 26 rounds. And in his last interview, after obviously beat Dillian Whyte, he actually said he was a bit frustrated because he'd had a 14-week training camp and the fight was over in, like, 2 minutes. So how does he approach this? Because he wants to learn, but if he's that good and he keeps knocking opponents out, then how is he going to learn?
Listen, I don't think he likes the showers here at the Co-op Arena or something, mate. That's where it is. Or he's got a dinner reservation or something. He's just wanted to get out of there nice and fast. Here's a little random stat for you, right? If you're comparing like for like with young heavyweights of yesteryear, Mike Tyson's obviously the most famous one, the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. Through his first 13 fights, Mike Tyson, he knocked out everybody in his first 13 fights. Moses has knocked out 11 people in those 13 fights. But if you're looking at the speed of the knockouts, how quickly they come within the fight, Moses has knocked out all 11 within the first 2 rounds of him competing, whereas Mike did 10 within the first 2 rounds. So that's the type of trajectory that we are talking about with this kid. I know that they talk about learning, getting rounds. We're trying to give him the opponents to get those rounds. But you don't get paid for overtime, as people keep saying, man. If you spot the opportunity, you take him out. Simple as that. That's why everybody is high as a kite on this boy. He's super, super exciting. And with all due respect, I know that we'll sit here and go, oh, yeah, I'd love to see him do 6 rounds. I'd love to see him do 8 rounds. No, we don't. No. We turned up for a knockout tonight, man, and we want absolute explosion. That's what people are here for. And hopefully Moses can deliver that for these fans.
So is the Tuma got to put on those black boots that Mike Tyson had with the no socks and just run out to the centre of the ring and go, right, I'm coming for you?
Yeah, ankle black boots,
That's
black
it.
shorts, just a little towel with a hole cut out over the top of his head, mate. No music. Oh, brilliant. A little bit of DMX maybe in the background, just giving us a little bit of the old chills from yesteryear. Listen, he's his own character. I think it's very unfair to compare him to the likes of Mike Tyson and the other heavyweights that have come before him. He's a very unique heavyweight in the way that he moves. He's very light on his feet. I think fans that have maybe seen him for the first time tonight are going to be blown away with the speed. His shot selection and the way that he throws those shots at the speed that he throws them is like nothing else in the division. And I'm even saying that along the lines of Alexander Usyk, who's a unique fighter in his own right, but Moses maybe is the next generation coming through. The ideal scenario for everybody here would be if Usyk's calling time, say in 12 months' time, he calls that time against Moses Atama in a super fight. I mean, what a way that would be to maybe welcome in the new guard, or maybe just to remind everybody just how great Alexander Usyk is against the best of the next generation. Very similar to what Mayweather and Canelo did, if you remember when those boys met, as Canelo was on his way up and Mayweather just all-manned him a little bit and just showed him what's what.
You mentioned with Franklin, he hasn't been stopped, and he's a tricky customer, and like you say, it feels like the perfect challenge, this, doesn't it? What kind of challenge, though, is Franklin going to be bringing Itauga in the ring?
All the things that you're saying, boys. He has to survive those early onslaughts, which Moses is extremely famous for. Let's have a look at him in round 4. Let's have a look at him in round 6. And if we do get to the second half of the fight, Moses has not been into that territory as a professional. Listen, he's been there and done it as an amateur. He's obviously done thousands of rounds in the gym, but it's very different doing it in the spotlight of the Co-op Arena tonight live on talkSPORT. If we get into the second half of the fight, that's when Jermaine Franklin comes alive. We saw that against Dillian Whyte, we saw that against Anthony Joshua. So his job tonight, survive the early onslaught, try and drag him a little bit later on, and then let's see what that gas tank's like. Let's see whether the young man can swim in some deep waters, if indeed Jermaine Franklin can get him there. Listen, the bookies will tell you that there's absolutely no chance of that, but it's heavyweight boxing. We have seen some crazy things in this sport, and who knows, we might see some crazy things tonight.
Catman, we are looking forward to it immensely. Thank you very much indeed, and enjoy the tenner I'm going to send you for bigging me up just now, by the way.
You keep gear changing like that, Sunshine. I'll keep celebrating it. Superb.
Top man, Adam Catterall there, talkSPORT's voice of boxing. That is going to be some event over in Manchester, and that follows us here live on talkSPORT from 8 o'clock. All of the build-up and the undercard and everything like that. It's heavyweight season on DAZN, and when we're done, it will be over to there. And that's not all, by the way, because on April the 4th, an icon will fall as Derek Chisora collides with the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder in both fighters' 50th fight, can you believe? And on May the 5th, Fabio Wardley makes his first defence of his WBO heavyweight title against former IBF champion Daniel Dubois in Manchester. That is 3 huge nights, one destination. Sign up to DAZN Ultimate now and get access to every punch, every knockout and every moment.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
There's been another goal at the Emirates in the WSL. Angelina Kelly.
It's Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Beth England on her 200th WSL appearance hits a strong shot towards the far corner. From a tight angle, Arsenal keeper Daphne Van Domselaar gets 2 hands to it, but isn't strong enough to parry it away as it sails into the back of the net. Credit where it's due to Spurs. Whilst defensively they've looked so vulnerable, they have not stopped fighting to try and get back into this game going forward. It's Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Come back, Sean Perry. Come back, Sean. You nervous? Getting a bit nervy?
No. Wrong time. If Arsenal women win this against Spurs women, that'll be their 11th win on the trot.
Unbelievable.
So they're playing at the Emirates. I read a stat the other day. Obviously, Arsenal have always been a big advocate of women's football, going back to my era, when Arsenal ladies used to win the FA Cup year after year under Vic Akers. The WSL games for Arsenal last season averaged at the Emirates and the Champions League games 38,000. Wow. There was 10 Premier League teams that season didn't average 38,000. So it just shows you, women's football, quite rightly, the attention it's getting, and it's just expanding and growing.
I'd tell you what, over 46,000 at the Emirates today for that North London derby, which is excellent. And they're going well in the Champions League as well. 3-1 up on Chelsea. That game is on Wednesday, the second leg, which will be at Chelsea. So we'll see how that goes. But like you say, they are flying at the moment. More to come at this hour. We're going to be chatting about the incident involving Tiger Woods in just a moment here on Kickoff on talkSPORT.
Join us now to look ahead to All British heavyweight boxer Dillian Whyte. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Dillian.
Good morning, good morning. How's everything been? Good?
Yeah, good, mum.
Yeah, really, really good. You gutted for the Welsh last night for no reason whatsoever? Or is it just Gabby who's hammering them?
I have no comment.
Dillian, what are you thinking about this fight then? You fought both fighters, Itoma and Franklin. What are you expecting from Franklin in this fight?
I think it's a good fight. It depends on what Franklin turns up because, he can turn up and put on a good show and be a really good fighter. Sometimes he can turn up and be a little bit of a stinker, Obviously, he's coming off a loss in his last fight. But I think that's made him hungrier for this fight. And now, obviously, we look at Mosley thinking, if I beat Mosley, I get one up on Dillian because Dillian beat me and Mosley beat Dillian. So I think he's got double motivation. So, yeah.
How good is he, Itoma?
Other hamburgers are available.
Is there a song about Whoppers?
There's got to be in there.
Yeah.
There's got to be a Burger King something.
Got to be. That's brilliant. We're doing songs for Lawrence, who was fuming about the price of his burger at Wembley last night, tenner, and there was no bacon. And he was absolutely furious about it.
Yeah, forget Ben White coming home from the World Cup, and snubbing his country. Get your burgers right at Wembley.
The burgers right, Wembley. What are you doing? And sort out getting out of Wembley, by the way, while you're at it. That's a nightmare. Anyway, this is Kickoff here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Perry Groves. Now, there was a big story last night. Golf legend Tiger Woods has been released on bail following his arrest on charges of driving under the influence after rolling his car in a crash in Florida. The Martin County Sheriff's Office said the 15-time major champion was also charged with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. Here's Sheriff John Budenseek speaking to the world's media.
The individual driving that Land Rover was able to crawl out the passenger door of the car and was identified to be Mr. Tiger Woods. Our DUI investigators came to the scene here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment. They did several tests on him. Of course, he did explain the injuries and the surgeries that he had. We did take that into account. But they did do some in-depth roadside tests, and when it was determined, he was placed under arrest and taken to the Martin County Jail. At the Martin County Jail, and even on scene, we really weren't suspicious of alcohol being involved in this case, and that proved to be true at the jail. So Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew triple zeros, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test.
US President Donald Trump has also waded into the situation. Here's what he had to say.
I feel so badly. He's got some difficulty. There was an accident, and that's all I know. Very close friend of mine. He's an amazing person, amazing man, but some difficulty. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, there we go. What do you make of Donald Trump's comments there?
It was the end bit where he said, obviously, he's in some difficulty, right? And on a purely human level, Tiger Woods is very, very ill. You know that he's suffering from addiction, and addiction doesn't discriminate. Doesn't matter how many millions of pounds that you have, he is ill. He needs to be treated. He needs to be treated for his illness. Now, whether that's addiction to the medication that he's on, where it's addiction to other stuff, where it's, alcohol addiction, someone suffers from that, obviously myself. He needs to be treated because he's very lucky that, number one, he hasn't taken someone else's life, and number two, he hasn't lost his own life, because it's the second time that he's rolled his car. So the people around him, and I'm hoping that he's going to get the advice, is quite rightly he'll have to go through the judicial system, and whatever they decide is his punishment, he'll have to take. But along with the punishment has to be that he has to go into rehabilitation. He has to go into rehab. He has to work on himself before anything else, because it seems like what we keep seeing is a repetition of, what happens because of his illness and addiction, that he's struggling with himself. He's struggling with his own being. He has to get to know himself. So, as I say, he has to be treated for his illness other than just be punished, obviously, for what he's done quite rightly, which he will be.
Let's bring in Brian T. Smith, who's talkSPORT's US sports correspondent. Just firstly, Brian, can you just give us the latest on this situation?
I think you guys just nailed it perfectly. I don't think there is any new news in this situation. The only news is that Tiger Woods is no longer Tiger Woods anymore. Imagine you are 7 years old. Imagine, you're a kid, you're 10. You don't know that Tiger Woods is a great golfer. You know that there's this guy who used to be a golfer and all he does is wreck his car. Tiger Woods has not won a golf tournament since 2019. That is 7 years. He won 82 tournaments. He won 15 majors. He's one of the greatest golfers of all time. That is all in the ancient past history. I completely agree with you. He's got serious issues, serious problems. He continues to put himself in these situations. I have zero sympathy for him anymore. He's honestly one of the most privileged people in the world. And I also think, I'd like to imagine that Donald Trump has more important things going on than weighing in on Tiger Woods. But this is Tiger Woods and his life right now. And it is a shame that it's become this tragic and he's this much of a fallen idol to where he's no longer a hero. He's just somebody who wrecks his car, appears to be, as you perfectly said, battling with addiction. He needs to somehow figure out how to fix his life. That's all that matters right now. Stop talking about playing in the Masters again. You're not a golfer anymore. You're somebody who just wrecks his car and appears to have serious issues that have been really going on for 20 or 30 years now.
But the thing you said there, about wrecking his car, that is the addiction and the illness that is making him do that. He's not making considered decisions. That's why I said about treating the illness. And you mentioned there, about being in a privileged position. It doesn't matter how privileged you are. The illness and addiction will take you over. It doesn't matter if you've got millions. Doesn't matter if you're the best golfer. Doesn't matter that, you might be a brilliant politician. Doesn't matter that you might be a teacher. Doesn't matter you might be a lawyer. This is a human condition that he has. And he needs to find himself, not the golfer. He needs to work on himself as the person, and that's what he's searching for.
But the weird, I completely agree with you. But the problem is that we in the sports world, and I really see it over here. It was amazing being at home last night and seeing major international networks breaking news coverage that Tiger Woods has gotten in another wreck. We're not talking about Tiger Woods because he's in rehab. We're not talking about Tiger Woods because he's trying to fix his life. We're talking about Tiger Woods because Tiger Woods keeps saying that he's going to come back and play in the Masters again. And he keeps having these repeating patterns. You nailed it perfectly. He is lucky to be alive right now. He is lucky that he hasn't hurt somebody else tragically in one of these accidents. He almost lost his leg not that long ago. So I do, though, have a problem that Tiger Woods continues to repeat this, and he has every opportunity in the world to fix this, and he has not fixed it to the point that I would actually say that in the modern era, there is no more tragic American athlete than Tiger Woods.
Brian, what does this mean, though, for his playing career now? Do we take it as read as this is over? Are we going to see another comeback? How would you view it?
I think that is the question. The answer is that Tiger Woods, again, has not won a golf tournament since 2019. That is 7 years ago. We should be talking about, this is another problem I have. We should be talking about Rory McIlroy right now and repeating at the Masters. We should be talking about Scottie Scheffler. This is a problem for golf as well. Golf overall is struggling. You have LIV and the breakoff. We should be talking about Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, like who go through the golfers. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Tiger Woods, and there's still this world out there in which Tiger Woods is going to make this miraculous life comeback. And I think that is part of the problem, that it appears that he still buys into this, that it almost feels like Tiger Woods still thinks that he can beat everything in the world, that he's immortal, that nothing will drag him down. And all I see is somebody who is absolutely tragic, who is no longer even close to being. Tiger Woods couldn't even make the cut right now. That's my recent memory of Tiger Woods. He can't even make cuts. He keeps having these situations. He keeps failing himself. It doesn't appear that he has enough good support people around him, enough of a support system. That's a huge thing if you're trying to fix yourself. If I'm Tiger Woods, and obviously I'm not, you have every avenue in the world to fix this. And this has been a recurring problem. He had addictions off of the the pitch, off of the field. He has serious issues across the board. When I look at Tiger Woods right now, I'm not even thinking about, is he going to play golf again? I'm wondering, is Tiger Woods going to fix his life, or is something truly tragic going to happen? Because I don't think that Tiger Woods, we should even be talking about him anymore as a golfer. He's somebody who appears to almost have to have another intervention in his life.
Talking about Tiger Woods, a golfer, I'm talking about Tiger Woods, the human being. I'm talking about the deep, dark place that he is in as a human,
sure,
with his addictions. And what happens with addictions is they take over your life. They take over your thought process. So he's not doing this as a considered thought process. He has nothing. He doesn't have a thought process. So, as you said about the help that's around him, which is he needs some help, because forget golf. We're talking about Tiger Woods, the golf. Forget it. Just say Tiger Woods. Forget the golf side. We're talking about the human being, and he needs obviously to work on himself, and he needs to want to do it himself. It has to come from Tiger Woods, the person, and not the golfer. And I think,
but did he not say that 10 and 15 years ago when he went on national TV and did the sit-down interview after all the issues came out with all of the women and everything? He's been through this. I mean, that was another addiction situation that he has had. And he did the sit-down interview and the bear all tell all, and he was going to fix all of that. I'm not sure that any of it's been fixed, because Tiger Woods keeps having the same problems and is dragged down by the same issues. I mean, honestly, the saddest part is it never seems like Tiger Woods has been the same since his father passed away. I mean, that's just the truth of it. So I hope he can fix himself. But until he does, and he takes it seriously, it's not going to happen.
It doesn't seem you have like a lot of sympathy for the human being, because what I said, addiction doesn't go away. Just because he had an addiction 10 years ago, addiction, you can only try and I'm obviously someone who has an addiction myself to alcohol, is you have to keep working on your addiction. You have to keep working on yourself, and whether he goes to say into rehab, whether he goes to AA, whether it's NA, whether it's CA, whether it is, that becomes, he has a disease and he needs penicillin, and he needs to work it on a daily basis. So what he needs now is, he'll be judged by the judicial system, quite rightly so, but he needs people around him. He needs a lot of love, he needs a lot of care, so that he is put in the right direction. And I'd say I just feel for him on a human level, because he doesn't want to do this, what he's doing. It's the addiction and the illness that is putting him down the wrong track.
Brian, thank you very much indeed. Brian T. Smith there, talkSPORT's US sports correspondent. And now I'm with you there, Perry, that Yeah, he needs help, and this is about the human being. And actually, you're right. Park the golf. This is about Tiger Woods.
Well, the thing is, he has to, right? That is gone. But he's without the golf, he can't obviously find himself. I'm just talking about obviously from the outside, where he probably things that he's got something hollow in his life because he's not playing golf at that level. But he has to get the right treatment and want to do the treatment himself, because not only is his life at stake, as I said before, you put yourself in situations where other people's lives are at stake, but he has to want to work on himself. And it just seems like over this period of time that a lot of people suffer addictions, and I was one of them, is you go for a little bit of denial. You go for a little bit of denial that I haven't got a problem, that it's not affecting my life. And it obviously is. So the people around him, he needs as much help as he possibly can.
Indeed. Let's get full time from the WSL at the Emirates. How's it finished in the North London derby? Angelina Kelly.
It ended Arsenal 5, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Stina Blackstenius rounded off the result after being played through just in front of the centre circle in injury time. She charged into the box and slotted the ball home. Arsenal earn their 11th consecutive win in a row, and they largely have superstar Alessia Russo to thank for her first half hat-trick. She got her first 2 goals in the opening 7 minutes. Spurs pulled one back from a corner. Tinker Tamberg claimed it, although Arsenal's Frida Mana might have got the decisive touch. However, that lifeline lasted less than 10 minutes as Russo got her hat-trick thanks to a terrible error from Spurs goalkeeper Lisa Kopp, as she basically passed the ball straight to Russo, who fired it home. Just after the hour mark, Caitlin Ford got Arsenal's 4th. Beth England, on her 200th WSL appearance, got a consolation goal for Spurs. Whilst defensively they did look weak today, Tottenham did not give up going forward and do deserve some credit for that. But for Arsenal, this mounts pressure onto the likes of Manchester City, Manchester United and Chelsea, as all 4 sides compete for the top 3 Champions League qualification spots. The Gunners sit in second now with 2 games in hand, and mathematically they are the only side who could steal the Women's Super League title from Manchester City. Full-time, Arsenal 5, Tottenham Hotspur 2.
Yeah, big win that for the Gunners. Right, in just a moment here on Kick-Off, you're going to be hearing from Sean Dyche and Sir David Beckham, David the Man U fan who called in Drive yesterday. They've both been speaking exclusively to talkSPORT over the last 12 hours. That's coming next.
Don't mind.
Former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has broken his silence on Mo Salah's impending departure from the Reds. Here he is talking to the Anfield Wrap about the legacy that Salah will leave behind.
Unbelievable goal. So he was part of the best front three in world football for a long time and was the one who always had the highest numbers. So that says something. That really says something. It's not easy to be slightly above the other 2 guys, and they have all their specific skills. But Mo was the one for the last situation. He wanted to have that more than anybody. So Sadio was a mix of both. Like, yes, he wanted to score goals, but he could have played midfield even. So that's his skill set. Bobby was the genius who didn't care about anything and could play absolutely everything. And Mo was the one who was really always the goal in his mind. And you cannot train that, and I don't think you really can learn it. It's inside, and he has that, and he will have that until the last day of his life. I'm pretty sure that's why it was the challenge, because if you want to rotate or whatever, and you take him off after 87 minutes, you could see in his face he saw I could have scored 3 in the last 5.
Yeah, that's Jurgen.
quiet tonight.
Bit of cure. Can't be a bit of cure.
I'm Saturday. I'm in love today. This is Kickoff here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Perry Groves. Perry, we've had a text. We've had a text from the man himself, Lawrence, who was fuming about how expensive his burger was at Wembley. This is amazing. Chaps, I'm just heading out now for a decent priced dinner at the local pub. Just so you know, it didn't include chips, jokers. And then he goes, we'll be having a proper bacon sandwich in the morning. And that is the only cure, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but Lawrence, the $64,000 question is red sauce or brown sauce?
Oh, what are you going?
Oh, all day tomato ketchup.
Yeah,
red
yeah.
sauce.
Well, it's got to be
all
isn't
day.
it? Red.
All day long.
I'm red sauce as well, to be honest.
White or granary?
Yeah. What do you think will what do you think we'll get more on the switchboard for? Red or brown sauce?
Red.
Or Ben White, should you have booted him?
Oh, God, it's a nation. Right, it'll be more outrage. And do you know what? It's more outrageous if you don't have any sauce.
Oh, no, that's...
There's something wrong with you. You need to get something in your life.
That should be a crime. Now, earlier on today, Sean Dyche joined Johnny Owen. It's a brilliant show. I was listening earlier on. There was lots of laughs. And, of course, Sean Dyche is someone who could be in demand. The Telegraph reported yesterday that Spurs are considering an SOS call to Dyche to save their Premier League status. He was on with Johnny earlier and he addressed the rumours.
According to social media, obviously you were in London last night.
Brilliant.
Talking to Spurs.
Oh, it's brilliant. Honestly, I was in the pub just up the way, near my place I've got down there. And this guy goes, you meant to be in talks with Spurs tonight. And well, I'm standing next to you having a pint of Guinness. So I said, it's unlikely. I said, unless you work for Spurs and they're in the Seven Stars pub having a pint of Guinness. I said, it's highly unlikely. No, I'm not. I'm with you, mate. And I'm on talkSPORT. That's what I'm doing.
He might see Lawrence down there tonight.
See, Guinness, protein, refueling, always professional, consummate professional, Dyche.
I love that. Look, obviously the situation with Igor Tudor, and we send our best wishes to him after the bereavement that he's had. But there are some reports that Tottenham might be looking to move on. Would you should they be in talks with Sean Dyche, do you think?
Whether they're in talks with Sean Dyche or not, they have to make a change. They have to make a change, because if they don't, and obviously I think the two results that obviously Spurs has under Igor Tudor, where it sort of papered the cracks a little bit, where they got their draw and then won, obviously, the next one. If they let it go, they're gone. They're down. You only start to see the game against Nottingham Forest. As soon as they conceded, fold like a pack of cards. So the hierarchy at Spurs, whether it's the owners, whether it's the sporting directors, whether it's the chairman, whatever it is, they have to do something, because if they don't do anything and they go down, they're not doing their job properly.
Who would you go for, though?
Because it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse than actually what's going on now. If I was Sean Dyche, and I know that it's been sort of documented allegedly that, if he did go in, he'd want a longer term contract, he holds all the cards. Because if you was him, and forget about next season after, I'm just talking about Sean Dyche. If I was Sean Dyche, and obviously he's a brilliant manager in the Premier League, but if you went to them, you said, right, I want £1 million a week, and at the end of the season, if I keep you up, I want 15 million quid.
It's a bit like Sam Allardyce for Leeds. Do you remember that? I think he had about 4 games left.
Yeah, you read it there. That's one for teenagers, where you're a firefighter, right? And you go in, so that package would, and it sounds ridiculous from now to that package would be 23 million
money
quid
for Spurs.
Exactly, for the business module that they have, and what they've obviously gone a long way into developing, with like the NFL games, with boxing there, whatever. Quite rightly so is. 23 million quid is peanuts to what it's going to cost them if they get relegated. And if you look at Sean Dyche's record at Nottingham Forest, he had a 40% win rate over all games. They had played 25, won 10. So if Spurs win 40% of their Premier League games from now to the end of the season, 7 games, you get 6 to 7 points. That puts you on 37 points. That keeps you up. So on that side of it, obviously, Sean Dyche holds like all the cards on that side. If I was looking at it now, you need someone to go in who's going to have a proper feel-good factor, a proper... when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went at Man United after Jose Mourinho, dark cloud went, Ollie basically was a redcoat when he went in there and like cheered everybody up and got the players playing, whatever. That's what you need, an instant hit. And then whether it's...
So do they have to have a Spurs connection?
I think so, because...
So not Sean Dyche then?
Oh, no, because you're looking. I'm not saying you have to have a Spurs account. I'm saying what you do, you have to do something. Now, what road you go down? Whether you go for Sean Dyche, obviously did brilliantly at Everton, but had a points deduction and had no money, and he kept them up and did a great job for them. Or whether you go down a ex-Spurs where you had the feel-good factor, because especially at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if they concede and they don't make a choice and you haven't got Spurs icons and legends on the bench, that goes unbelievably toxic very quickly.
Yeah.
But if you have people on the sideline, on the bench that have a Spurs connection, I think that would quell it a little bit. So, and let's talk about Harry. I'm not talking about Harry Redknapp going in, but if you put Harry Redknapp in, you'd have someone alongside him, someone like a Tim Sherwood or...
the only thing I would say on that is Newcastle United went down in 2009, and who took them down? Alan Shearer. And it didn't quite work out. Now, I, to be fair, reckon that that's just because they were gone anyway.
Yeah, but Alan Shearer had no managerial experience at all.
That's true.
Of trying, and obviously going in there, I think you won one game, didn't he, out of the 9 when you went there? But that was like, we'll put an icon in, but I'm talking about putting someone in who has managerial experience. Tim Sherwood has managerial experience. That there needs to be something positive. There needs to be, because I say it can't get where they are now. I said when Thomas Frank was in charge, I said then, and I think Spurs were probably running about 14th at the time. I said that if Thomas Frank stayed, they would be in a relegation battle because he couldn't handle the massive egos and the culture that is there. They've got rid of Thomas Frank and they've actually got worse. So Igor Tudor's gone in and he's obviously a very, very strong character. You know, he like tried to rule with a sort of an iron fist or whatever. Anybody going in now, the first thing they should do is get Romero away from the first team squad completely. Not just take the captaincy away.
Romero?
Just say, yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because, did you see him play against Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, it's poor.
Did you see how bad he was for a captain? For the second goal especially, where Nottingham Forest play it round him, Gibbs White comes into the 10, no one goes with him, he just trots out, then it goes Hudson-Odoi, and then they break down the left-hand side, cross it, Nottingham Forest score, and your captain is putting his hands out to other players and say, what are you doing? For no, mate, it's you. It's 100% you. He's one of the bad eggs there, without any shadow of a doubt. It's a big call when you're going in.
Yeah, that's huge.
But if you're going in, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to need him next season because you're not going to be the manager.
Instead, though, Dragosan, like, I think the drop-off, even though Romero's so poor in that game, I understand that, but I feel like he kind of has to play, doesn't he? Because what are the alternatives?
No, because he is that toxic a character. If you've got your captain that goes missing, I wouldn't have anywhere near the first team squad.
Okay. By the way, yesterday, you might have heard this, Perry, on Drive. Crazy turn of events. One of the most famous people in the entire world, Sir David Beckham, phoned in to talkSPORT Drive yesterday after Darren Brent praised the way he made him feel welcome in the England camp. Beck's discussed the Manchester United job and Michael Carrick and how he's doing in interim charge.
Yeah, I must admit the last few months have been a lot more comfortable than the last 10 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been tough over that time. But I think Michael's got experience. I think he's got a calmness about him that he's brought into the club. He knows the club, he knows the players, he knows the way Man United play and way Man United should play. And I've always liked Michael as a coach. When you look at him, there's a calmness. There's on the side of the pitch, there's, I don't want to say elegance because I'm not sure that's the right thing to say, but there's a elegance in the way he is, whether it's the way he celebrates, whether it's the way he gets angry. All of those things are important in a manager, and I think that the way he's got the team and brought the team together has been incredible, and I think as a United fan, it's exactly what we needed.
What a moment for whoever picked up the call from Bex, by the way. Incredible.
Do you mind?
Sir Bex. Sir Bex. Apologies. By the way, I used to work answering the phones here on talkSPORT. And obviously a huge friend of the station is Rod Stewart. And it was one of my first kind of shifts.
Sir Rod?
Sir Rod. Oh, I've done it again. What, mate? What's going on?
There's no MBE off coming in for you.
Left, right and centre. But anyway, I was on the phone, one of my first few shifts, and someone calls up and it's withheld number. It's like, yeah, it's Rod Stewart, mate. I was like, yeah, whatever. No
Do
chance.
one, mate.
No chance. Hung up straight away. Get another call. No, mate, it's Rod Stewart. I listened to the station, and it's my birthday today as well. But like, come on, get me on. And I was like, I think this person's winding me up. Anyway, I went on Rod Stewart's Wikipedia page and looked at the date, and then I looked at the date, and it was his birthday. And the producer had to call up Rod Stewart and go, "Oh, Rod, sorry, yeah, do you want to come on with Jim White?" And I'm just sat at the back going, "I'm getting sacked."
Just say to him, like, sing us a song then. Prove it.
Yeah, I should have got him to sing Maggie May.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, an absolute nightmare. But luckily that didn't happen. Yeah. Luckily that didn't happen with Sir David Beckham. By the way, Sir Rod. Firstly, I'm sorry for not calling you Sir Rod. I'm sorry for hanging up on you.
Blanking you.
Yeah. Just on the Carrick debate, by the way, what are your thoughts on this? Because I think there is a world, isn't there, where in the summer someone like Luis Enrique might come up. Would you take the job off Carrick, given how well he's done, and then pass it on to a manager like that? Or would it only be Enrique that could replace Carrick for you?
Well, the thing is, you'd hope that hierarchy and obviously the sporting part of that, which is obviously Jason Wilcox, they have two lists, Plan A, Plan B. And I think what's happened is Michael Carrick has gone from Plan B onto the Plan A list because of the job that he's done when he's gone in there. Because he played 10 games, won 7, lost the 1. I forget who he lost against. I can't remember who they lost against.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Newcastle.
Oh, was it Newcastle?
That was it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
right,
Willis Sulu in the last minute.
Yeah, all right, okay.
And they had 10 men. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
What, the weldy from cutting him from the right hand side?
That was it. Yeah.
Okay, but he's, as Sir David was saying there, he was saying about, on the touchline, he couldn't. I think he's just got class about him, Michael Carrick. He's just gone in there the way he conducts himself. He's calmed everybody down. I've said it before, he was a calm player. He didn't get too over emotional when he played, and he was a brilliant player when he played in the base of the midfield and passed it through the lines and let everybody else go and play. He was like the conductor, and I think he's gone in there. He's just calmed everybody down. Oh, football's very simple. He's gone in there. Who'd have thought it? Playing Fernandes in the 10 and not playing him as a holding midfield player where he doesn't want to run around and do the defensive stuff. Who'd have thought playing Kobe Mainoo, bringing him back and playing in one of the holding midfield players next to Casemiro with legs in that sort of 6th position? Who'd have thought that? Playing Cunha on the left-hand side. Do you know what I mean? Who'd have thought that? Playing Luke Shaw at left back. Who'd have thought it? Brings Harry Maguire back in. Plays as a centre-half in a 2. Who'd have thought it? So football is very simple sometimes. And what he's done, he's simplified it. There's some of the games that Manchester United played, they haven't played front foot exhilarating football, which he can't implement at the moment because it's all about results. And if he gets them, which it looks like he's going to do in the Champions League positions, the hierarchy would have snapped your hands off to be in that position. Yep. Now, whether he sits down with him at the end of the season and the recruitment comes into it because these aren't his players, he's taken on someone else's players. But if you was Michael Carrick and you got offered the job, if I was him, I'd want to say on who went in and who came out, not the sporting director, because obviously their recruitment hasn't been particularly great, to be honest. So there's big decisions there. And the thing that really surprises me is there's a lot of ex-Man United players that are giving him quite a bit of stick, aren't there? And it's like, wow, he was your teammate. They seem to be over-emotional about it, when if you just look at it in a cold light of day, he has done a brilliant job. It couldn't have gone any better.
Do you think Sir David's red or brown sauce?
I think he's like East End boy, isn't he? So he's red.
Bacon sandwiches.
He's red, 100%. He hasn't lost his roots. He's pies and mash. Pies, mash and liquor. A little bit of vinegar on the top.
By the way, you can watch the full interview with Sir David Beckham on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. It's well worth a watch, and what a legend for calling in as well. This is talkSPORT.
talking all things Harry Maguire. John is a Man United fan. Jonathan?
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm great. Very well, man. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you.
What's that noise? Have you just opened your wallet?
No, you have to excuse me. It's the police going past in Hereford, which means there's probably a cat stuck in a tree somewhere.
Okay. Well, just be careful.
Oh, yeah, I'm being safe, mate. Hands free and all that.
Good, good. Go on, off you go.
Yeah, talking about Harry Maguire. So, I'm a United fan. Has he let the club down on numerous occasions? Yes, he's a bit of a Marmite player. But with regards to England, I can't think of a time he's ever actually let England down.
Yeah, good
point.
point.
Every time he's put an England shirt on, he's always done a job.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing.
Would you start him for England?
I'd start him for England, yeah.
You would?
For his experience, for his age, yeah. I think he's a solid centre-back. He, like I said, never let him down.
Are you pleased that he's signing?
Are
Are you pleased he's signing another year at United?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He brings a lot of, like, you've seen him over the last few months playing under Carrick. He's brought a lot more composure to the
Who could have been heroes, Perry? Wembley. Wembley's kids.
Just get your bacon right.
Get your bacon right. Get your burgers right. There's no fries.
That's an outrage. By the way, chips on a side, fries are a side, chips ain't. Should be all in, 1 meal deal.
Oh dear. Huge fight on the way. Moses Talma against Jermaine Franklin, heavyweight clash. All the build-up following us from 8 o'clock. Our brilliant boxing team will bring you live commentary from Manchester. It's set to be quite the night, isn't it? Now, Perry, I don't know if you've seen this, but West Ham aren't happy with some Arsenal fans. They've released a statement saying to Gooner fans who are buying tickets in the London Stadium home end for the upcoming Premier League game, because obviously there's a scenario where Arsenal win the title against their London rivals. The question is really, can the man alongside me, Perry Groves, successfully navigate those conditions? Because this was, Perry, starting a riot at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 2024.
Oh, Perry Groves has just gone off his sleep after Arsenal scored. That's it, mate. You tell him. You too. And you, Crookie, should be ashamed of yourself. You're on the radio. Calls a riot here, you will. There's kids, it's dangerous. You shouldn't be doing that, pal. That's a liberty. Come on, Perry. Come on. We know you've done wrong. You're live on the radio. You shouldn't be doing that. Come on, take him out. He's got to go.
That was Perry celebrating a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the North London derby, wasn't it?
It was in my blood. I think we've just gone 3-0 up. To be fair, I don't think there's any chance of me getting into the London Stadium unless I put my false nose and glasses on.
Well, that's right, isn't it? You went back to the Spurs Stadium recently, and didn't you have full disguise?
Nose and glasses, exactly, yeah. but to be fair, obviously, I think that was a YouTuber behind me. And what I said at the time was, I didn't celebrate overly. I just give like a fist pump, right? But because I can't, that's a natural reaction. I didn't, get up and start doing a Mexican wave or jump up in the air or do 4 rolls, whatever. Because it's in my blood, I can be objective what I see and be balanced, but I can't help it what goes in.
It's tricky, isn't it? It is tricky.
Because actually, the other reason I did that was because at that time Spurs were the better side for half hour, 40 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So again, when your team's gone 3-0 up and the opposition are actually better than you, that actually makes it even more emotional.
Perry, and also if you're watching on YouTube, we've got the perfect disguise for you, a full West Ham blazer.
I look like
you look like you could be a West Ham fan, to be fair.
You're having a laugh. I look like I'm like Harry Potter. Is that Hogwarts? Is that where they got that from?
Would you, out of interest?
The ironic thing is,
to get into West Ham, would you wear the colours?
No.
Would you not?
Absolutely not.
Really?
No chance.
Okay. What were you going to say?
I was actually born. I'm an East End boy. I was born in Barts. So I'm a proper Cockney. So people are like, why you like? I wish to be West Ham, whatever. I went 2 things. One, it's my family heritage, which Uncle Vic was captain in the 50s for Arsenal. And 2, I didn't want that misery for the rest of my life, being let down. Do you know what I mean?
Just on Arsenal, just before we go, I haven't actually had a chance to ask you about the run-in. How do you see it playing out? How many trophies do you think Arsenal will end up picking up, if any?
The thing is, on the run-in, right, the run-in is about how Mikel Arteta sets us up to play against other teams. We have got to go on the front foot. We're a big physical side. We've got to go impose ourselves. So that's why if you get beaten in the final like we did against Man City, with the bet, first half was fairly even. Second half, there was no contest. If you come off the pitch and you think, right, we've been beat, we've given everything we've got, we couldn't have done any more, but little things have gone against us, or someone from the opposition was like brilliant. Haaland pulled one out, from nowhere. You go, all right, they will be hurting because the Arsenal players played nowhere near the levels that they can play. So this is about them coming back, being hurt in their soul, driving them on, and it's like, let's go and risk to lose to go and try and win the game. And Arteta's been like that earlier on in the season. We've got to get back to that now, because if it goes into a game of basketball, I'm more than confident that we beat teams in the game of basketball, because if our forward players express themselves properly, we win the game.
Will you wrap up the league before the final day?
No. I hope so.
Go to the wire.
I hope so. I really do hope so. But I can't tell you. When I was a player, I know that our next Premier League game is Bournemouth. I don't know what the next Premier League game is after that, and the players should be going game for game. Obviously, played Southampton on Saturday in the FA Cup. I've got divided loyalties there. Obviously, I can't make up my mind whether I want Arsenal win 6-0 or 7, but and then obviously Sporting Lisbon on the Tuesday, and then Bournemouth on the Saturday. But the Premier League is, at the moment, that is the most important thing for Arsenal.
They have to go over the line, don't they? They absolutely have to get over the line. Listen, Perry, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
I'm just pleased that you actually were talking to me like blank Sir Rod. Do you know what I mean? So I feel quite honoured.
Sorry, Sir Rod.
Giving me your time.
Do you think I'll ever get a chance to just apologise to him? Maybe if he might come in. He'd probably blank me. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's done with me. Do you think, just very right, we've got 10 seconds. Is Sir Rod red or brown sauce?
I think he would be brown.
Brown sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
with a square sausage. It's got to be Scottish.
Sliced sausage.
Yeah. Perry, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Don't go anywhere. talkSPORT is off to Manchester now for live coverage of Moses Atalma against Jermaine Franklin.
Every Thursday we'll be joining the studio by rapper and Spurs fan AJ Tracy. How are you?
How you doing, fella? Not too bad.
Good. Now, we spoke to you on the phone before. I've never met you, right?
You spoke to me on the phone before, yeah.
Okay, do I call you AJ, Trace?
You call me whatever you want to call me.
But what do your pals call you?
AJ. Age, yeah.
Okay,
Age.
nice to meet you, Age.
If we've had a beer, it's Age.
Age, okay.
Yeah,
we should do that on Thursday.
Yeah?
Thursday's a great night to go out.
I heard the fridge is stocked over here. I might be here.